本当？見えないでしょ？どこにいるのかな？見えないよ。What's good, Internet? It's Friday, February 13th, 2020, and you are listening to Waypoint Radio, episode 293. I believe that's right. I'm your host. Is that right, Kato?
No.
Why? Why not? Why is it not right? Did I miss one?
No, you're right. You're right.
Damn,
I fucked up.
that's
I put
right.
294 on this file.
Damn.
Shit.
I'm your host, also
Damn,
Walker.
Kyle.
That's Kato. That's Gita. It's just us here in Brooklyn today.
Yeah.
It's a
That's-
quiet coalition of the Browns today.
Yeah, Brown Coalition. What's good?
What's up?
We're just keeping it relaxed. Hey, do we have work on Monday?
No.
So we don't have a podcast on Monday.
We do.
What is it?
Gita.
it's,
Yo, guess what?
what's up?
Last week was actually the 20th anniversary of The Sims. And last week...
Did you say the Simps?
The Sims. Ladies is Sims too. Go and brush your shoulders off. The Sims. The Sims.
Yes.
I missed the actual day, but let's just treat February like it's whole
Yeah,
one big
it's
20th.
Sims month.
It's Sims month.
Yeah.
I think that's better for a lot of people. More eventful than Valentine's Day.
Damn, get them.
Valentine's Day is a fake corporate holiday,
Mm-hmm.
so don't give a fuck. But I think I don't know what me and my boyfriend are doing on Friday. I
Good.
don't have any fucking plan. Like, it
play The
doesn't
Sims.
matter. We're just I'm gonna make him in The Sims.
That would be
like,
great. That's good
he'd
Valentine's
be
Day content.
Such a good Sim. He's
Please.
such a. I just remember the first time Janine got her hands on the Sim, your friend Janine, and she made you. And I just remember watching that stream.
Mm-hmm. That was a good stream.
And you kicked over the trash can.
It's true.
And then just
I don't
started
know.
playing
I don't
in
know
the
if that
trash.
stream is still available. It must be available on the old Stream
It was
Friends
just
account.
so good because you looked so jaunty. And then you fell asleep in the bathtub.
Yeah.
you know
All true to
what?
life shit. You know what I mean? I'm out here. Kicking trash cans, falling asleep in bathtubs. That's the
Yeah.
life I'm living.
Well, I talked
Damn.
to the executive producer and general manager for The Sims, Lindsay Pearson.
Okay.
And we started off talking about like diversity and the way that The Sims has continued to add more ways to be a person, basically, to see yourself or to make people who are different from yourselves in The Sims, and sort of how the community has really embraced that. Like they've just really amazingly fostered a community of kindness, I think.
Yeah.
And then we just started geeking out about stuff that Kato didn't know about.
Yeah, no
Like,
clue.
Kato was there.
Interesting.
I wanted him there so that I could explain to Kato things that people that don't play The Sims don't understand because
Like
I
what
needed.
the fuck a plumb bob is?
Yeah, he doesn't know
You
what a plumb bob is.
I
He's
didn't
the
know,
plumb
yeah.
bob.
Yeah, well, he needed
Put
to
your
be
rock
there.
in the air. You know what I mean?
He needed to be there so I wouldn't just like say a bunch of shit no one would understand.
Right. Fair.
But he also didn't know about like Bella Goth, the disappearance of Bella
Oh,
Goth.
wow,
And Lindsay
really?
Pearson got to explain that
Good.
one, which was great because she gave us we have the concrete answer on it. She said that she liked some fan theories though. So we
Okay.
talked a little bit
Okay,
about that
good.
too.
So look forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just end up geeking out about The Sims like the last
yeah.
15
Good
minutes.
time.
It was a really fun interview. And then, so yeah, that's a Monday. I also, on the Monday, I should be having an interview with Grant Rodiak, who is also a producer on
Nice.
The Sims. So
Awesome.
that's something you read.
Some President's Day content for you.
Yeah, love the President's Day. What's President's Day for?
Presidents.
They don't need another day.
I know, right?
Shit.
It's like George Washington.
It's for. What is President's
What
Day?
is President's Day? Am I supposed to be honoring the president? Because I'll come to work in that case.
It is.
No, it's not.
Damn,
It's
get
not about
'em.
the current. It's about old.
No, it's about
ones.
old presidents. Yeah,
It's
it's like
about
Washington's birthday.
specific
It's Washington's
old ones.
birthday.
Low key, fuck all of them too. But
Yeah.
honestly, should we have a president? I don't think so. But let's not go into that
I don't
right
think we have
now.
the time to rework the branches of government on this episode.
They're fucked though.
Unfortunately.
Like if
Yeah,
you
no,
think
this
about
system as it stands does not work.
it, doesn't
every
work
minute.
at all. When people talk about the founding fathers, all I can think about is that they don't know what a germ was. They didn't know about germs. And you're saying that they created a document that
Listen.
could span centuries? No.
They had a direct line to the truth and democracy and progress, and so they just whittled away on that until they figured out how to make.
These were some
Make
guys
money from
that
slaves.
owned slaves.
Yeah, uh-huh.
They owned other human beings and were like,
And
chill,
they
that's
knew.
fine. And
Let
they
me be
knew.
honest. A
They
lot of them
knew they
fucking
were
knew
they
because
knew.
they wrote down that they knew.
Yes.
And they were like, well, yeah, but we needed to, though. I'm like,
Thomas
no,
Jefferson.
you didn't. You extremely didn't need to, though.
Thomas Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
My money.
Yeah, getting spicy.
Anyway, I think President's Day is like Washington's birthday. Also, what if we celebrated Lincoln, I guess, and then Jefferson's in there too? And it's like, y'all,
Let's not do the last one.
let's
not say we did.
Yeah,
Let's
you know
just
what?
take a day off.
That's the thing.
and
is
not
really.
fucking yeah.
Yo,
We don't need to talk
what
about
am I going to
them.
be
We don't need
doing
to
on
think about
President's
I'm actually
Day?
curious-
I'm going to be cuddling my cat,
There you go.
Hell yeah.
who freaked the hell out when I tried to leave my apartment this morning. So I got here at 10:30.
Wow.
She is afraid of all her toys. She's interested in them, but she's afraid of them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get her to play with this treat ball, which she knows there are treats in it, and she wants to get the treats at, but she will not put her paws on the ball because she's afraid of it. But this morning, she was feeling very snuggly. She was so anxious, and I really want to spend time with her. But as I was like leaving, she saw me and then ran back in the bedroom because I turned around and that scared her.
Wow.
And then
Right.
as she was running, her back leg slid out because she was running too fast. And then she hid under the bed because she had surprised herself.
Cats are the best.
I love cats so much.
Cats are the best.
Just idiots. Just
It
little
is what
idiots.
it is. Like I just love them.
You know, I just relate to that. I relate to that a lot. You get scared and then you're so scared you scare yourself further. That's anxiety, baby.
2020. Here we are. Which that is anxiety. That truly is. You know what I do to try to keep my anxiety in check is
What?
I just go to a therapist. But also which helps.
That does help
But
a lot.
also I play some video games now and then.
Yeah.
I played one that was like, oh, this is gonna be really calming. This is gonna be like it's gonna help my anxiety. This is gonna be like a nice chill relaxation day. And I think it's actually we're gonna put this in conversation.
Okay.
Because I played a game called Coffee Talk
Oh, I've heard nice things about that.
that I don't
game.
like very much.
Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about it.
But I know you also played Cook Serve Delicious 3,
Yes.
which is like the opposite game
Oh.
on paper.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I think they are actually pretty opposite. I'm curious to hear what you think of that. So Coffee Talk is a Valhalla. That's what it is. You remember
Oh,
that game
okay.
that came out a few years ago, Valhalla, that was like a cyberpunk like bartender simulator? It's a visual novel that had like bartending, like drink mixing as like an interactive element.
Right.
This is the same thing, except instead of running a club, instead of running a club in a cyberpunk future, and also being like a little edgelordy in a way that feels like misguided, and having some content that is extremely questionable, it is just kind of generally off. Like the pitch for Coffee Talk is, God, you know what? Can I just read you the beginning of Coffee Talk? I'm gonna find a Coffee
Sure.
Talk long play here because I think like the opening of this game sets up the world with a set of kind of characteristics that immediately I think sets the stage for what I think doesn't necessarily work for this video game. So you pick your name, you're a barista, and it says Seattle 2020. So that's today. That's now.
Yeah, that's
I guess
now.
it takes place in September, but still,
Okay.
September. A city filled with dreams and madness. A time when the great war between races is but a footnote in history. You remember? A time when anyone can dream of being whatever they want to be. And have those dreams crushed before they can even be discussed. But still, it is a place and a time where anything can happen. Then we get that was like a picture of like Seattle, the skyline of Seattle. Oh, we're not done.
Okay, there's more.
Then we cut to a picture of like a dude with red hair and a beard, like turn around in like a t-shirt and like really like he's brown skinned. He has kind of like a fantasy vibe going on, and behind him also is like an orc in a business suit. And
those races.
those races.
It's bright.
It's bright. It is a time when elves have left the forest to build their startups. When the dwarves have emerged from their caves to start their automotive empires. When the orcs have put down their axes and started using computers to improve their lives. The orcs have learned to code. And so this is bright. This is Shadowrun, like a little less sci-fi, a little more like bright, right? It's like modern day. What if there were like fantasy races? And also, what if human race didn't exist? By the way, this is like a plot point pretty early on in the game.
It's
where,
a plot point.
well, it comes up because
Because you have, if like you're going to do a woke game, you have to at least consider this for 1 millisecond. At
Consider
least.
is strong because I don't think any consideration happened.
Okay, cool.
Because it there's a, okay. So let me just set up with the game, and I'll get to the bit on race in a second.
Mm-hmm.
You're a barista, but you're a bartender barista. This is a bar. This is a coffee shop. It's only open up at night.
Okay.
It literally doesn't open until the sun goes down.
That seems like a bad time for coffee.
Agreed.
That's not.
People come in. It's a visual novel. There aren't any choices that I've seen outside of making drinks for them. I'm like 3 hours in, and I've not like had a point where I feel like I've been able to change anything, which is fine. Like I think kinetic novels are a thing. It's okay to have just like a straightforward visual novel that's really pretty and has like some nice music. And I think this game has a look, and it has a really fun like lo-fi hip hop.
Even like conceptually, that kind of makes sense, right? Like as you making a drink, maybe like will change someone's mood, but at most, like they're
Yeah, and I don't even
talk
think
about what
it's
they're going to talk about,
it's
right?
it's set up a couple of drinks as being very clearly. There's going to be a point in time in which I have to give this werewolf man the calm him down drink. I'm certain of it, 100%. Right? Like they've like made a big deal of like figure out that drink. So your customers come in. You have like one regular who is a writer, who is a journalist, and also a fiction writer who writes like short fiction for the newspaper. But the fiction is not good, and it's not even fiction. Sometimes it's just like. Do you ever think about how like there was like a short 5-paragraph story that she put in the in-game newspaper that was about how she feels like so it took the phrase death drive and it was like death drives, but sometimes he commutes. It's like what if death is in a car next to you, and that's why there's so many car crashes.
So,
like I'm giving it too much. Anyway, so
Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City.
That is your primary. That is your like primary customer. She comes in every night. She's working on a book. She like convinced her boss, who at the media company, who also owns a publishing house, to like give her a book job.
Just talk to one person who works in media
100%,
one
please,
time.
100%.
Just
I'm
one
begging
time.
you.
We'll tell you anything you want.
We love to talk about this. No one will listen to us. And so the game is that people come into your coffee shop, they sit down, and they tell you their problems, or they have like their partner come in and they get into a fight and you overhear it, and then you make them drinks or whatever, right? And the sort of problems that you run into or that you hear are like everyday things with a fantasy twist, right? So you have, for instance, the elf dude whose name, by the way, is Bailey's. Like the Irish cream?
Drink.
Yeah.
It's
just.
I mean, I guess that's a
plural.
name.
It's plural. Yeah, there's no apostrophe. It's not Bailey apostrophe S, but it's Bailey's.
You just take the S off.
Just Bailey would be fine.
Bailey's fine. That's a name. I've known people named Bailey.
So me too. Bailey's is an elf who comes from a very rich family and a very like noble elf family, but he's been dating a succubus for a little while, and the families don't like that they're dating outside their race, obviously. And the elves are obviously like, the way they frame it is you're going to outlive her because you're an elf. I don't know how long succubi live, but apparently not as long as elves. And no one will want you once you've been sullied by a succubus, by a low-born succubus. It's like, all right, okay, that's a way of doing it. And the succubus's family is like, this, you're going to like run into trouble in the world. You're going to get hurt because of interracial relationships. And at one point, a vampire decides to like weigh in on this, who's this like supermodel vampire guy. And he's like, well, why don't you just why don't families can fuck off, actually? Fuck off, families. You should just all leave your families. It's super easy. I don't give a shit about family. I'm a vampire. And in that conversation, like after that conversation, it comes up that your character is talking to I think the writer, and you're like, or the writer is talking to this vampire and is like, you know what? I think I can take some inspiration from this. The whole thing for her is like, I'm taking inspiration from all the people around me for my book. She's like, I think it's going to be like a book that's just about like regular people, but like with a twist. Like, what if it was a world where there were only humans and no fantasy creatures in it? And he's like, well, that sounds like it's going to be pretty racist if you get rid of all the fantasy creatures. And she's like, well, no, here's the thing. It's still going to be about racism, because in this other world, racism won't be between fantasy races. It'll be between all humans. And then the vampire guy is like, but wait, how could there be racism if there aren't different races? And she's like, we'll figure out a way that people who have different eye color or hair color or skin color. I bet there'd be racism in that way. You know, we'd find anything. And it's like the most 101, freshman level, you had what you thought was a good idea, but then you didn't think through the actual history of race in which those divisions exist inside of racial groups already. In a very obvious and big way.
Yeah.
I promise you, elves will be racist against elves. The true reason
Elf colorism exists already, I am
Colorism
sure.
is a thing.
Yeah. No, don't even
I
talk
promise
about
you.
the fucking
It is
caste
fucking
system. Like,
Canonical
come on.
in D&D shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
right?
I know,
Like,
100%. Are you
fucked
telling
up.
me that?
And like also what that invites immediately is comparing different real world races
Yes.
to the different fantasy
No,
races.
the orcs are black people.
Yes, of course they are. They
The orcs
always
are black people. And I want to be clear. The first orc who comes in, like, yo, she's a dope design. I'm going to show you this orc because I think she's a dope design. But you can't just map it like that. When you started by being like, the orcs put down their axes and learned to code.
Like what you're saying then, and you need to know that this is what you're saying, is that all black people are muscle-bound brutes.
Well, like, there is a black guy in this game.
Yeah.
He's a cop named Georgie. I think he might
Did
be a
Lena
dwarf.
Dunham write this?
You know, it feels like that. Like, it for real feels like that.
Yeah.
Beyond all of this shit.
Did everyone forget when Lena Dunham got criticism for not having black people and girls and then had
And then
Donald
yeah.
Glover as a Republican? Anyway, move on. Just
Fuck off.
yeah.
The writing is just flat generally, and the coffee making isn't that interesting. And it's not.
Which is something to say because it's fun to do in real life.
It is fun to do in real life. And this, you're just like, I'll put one coffee. Someone comes in and they go, at the start of the game, you know, your writer friend comes in and is like, I'll have my usual triple espresso. You take coffee 3 times and then you make a triple espresso. And someone else comes in and is like, hey, I'd like to try something with I'd have like some tea with some ginger in it. So you hit like tea, ginger, right? And eventually you get like slightly more, you know, a little bit more experimentation when someone is like, you know, I think what I want is, I know it's tea and ginger, and there's a third thing. This is like the werewolf cure thing, which is like, it's tea and ginger, but I don't know what that third ingredient is. And so you have to like fuck around until you get the thing with the right name that is like, oh, this is clearly the thing that this person is looking for. So there's like a little bit of experimentation there. There's a latte art like mini game that you can do for fun, but that doesn't actually tie into anything at all. You're not graded in it, and that's fine. Like, I'm not asking to be graded in my bad video game latte art, but like it's just a bonus thing for you to do. But more importantly, and this is actually the core of my beef with this, and I hope the two of you are with me on this. You know, coffee shop AUs.
Yes.
Do you know, Kato? You know what I mean?
Theory.
Okay. What is a coffee shop AU about for you? Like, what is the ideal? Because I have a very particular vision of this. And for people who don't know what we're talking about, in fan fiction, there is like a very popular kind of scenario that gets used across fandom, in which you move your core characters from a work. You take your Dragon Age characters and you move them into a coffee shop. What if instead of like fighting demons and living in a castle, they were in a coffee shop together?
I'm so happy that I get to talk about this
Okay.
right now. In the coffee shop AU, obviously what I'm looking for is the barista and the customer to fall for each other.
So barista customer falling for each other. Good, solid.
Yeah.
I like multiple people working at the coffee shop.
Yeah, I want the whole crew from Dragon
crew.
Age
That's it.
behind
the in different
bar.
For me, the way I pitch this, to Janine, who just came up in the conversation a little while ago. Last night, I was like, what I want from a coffee shop AU, owner who's like absent but mysterious and kind of shows up now and then, and like what's their motives. Then 3 employees: manager, junior employee, new employee. Right. New employee is like your perspective character. New employee is like the player character in a way, right? They show up. They don't know they don't know everybody around, but like they make friends with the junior. That's like a good romantic possibility. The manager is there, who is like the most senior, kind of gruff, but like maybe heart of gold, but understands things about the world, whatever. Then a couple of key customers, your regulars who come through. Then like a little bit around the edges, you get like the music shop next door or the apartments upstairs,
Oh, no,
or
they're
someone's
having
siblings.
lease problems.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh no, and there's a block party, or there's, you know what I mean? Like there's there's.
Bernadette Peters Slaves New York Red Party. Yeah.
Right, yes. Yeah. Whereas this game is just you, the barista, talking just to customers. That's just a bartender. That's just a bartender without the alcohol.
Yeah.
And that's not the coffee shop fantasy that I have.
So to as a point of comparison, there is a very good visual novel, short, but very good visual novel called Hustle Cat. It takes place in a cat cafe, where the hook is that you work in the cafe by day, but at night you turn into a cat, and they all turn into cats, and it's really, really cute.
Yes.
See, that game doesn't have any coffee making stuff in it, but it hits all of those buttons for Coffee
Right.
Shop AU for me.
Right.
Right? Where it's got a bunch of drama about workplace drama. It feels like Empire Records
That's
in a
you
way.
want Empire Records,
Yeah.
but coffee.
Yeah.
And coffee has a nice smell. It brings out lots of good, aromatic vibes.
Yeah.
Kata, you had something. What were you going to say?
No, I was just gonna say like the like, I don't know. Maybe this is just the coffee shops I'm in, but like rare. I feel like you rarely even see the bar that you can sit at anymore, right?
No,
Like,
I
Yeah.
don't. That's
You're-
not a bar. That's not a coffee shop I've ever been
Yeah.
to. Or
And-
not ever, but not often.
it's more likely that you're talking to. If you're the barista, you're talking to coworkers. If you're in the coffee shop, you might be talking to other people there.
Right. Well, and I want the thing that's actually really interesting about it is I think in the coffee shop AU I want where the barista and a customer end up hooking up, or like there's any
Yeah.
sort of the distance is important.
Right.
You're supposed to have the customer who comes
You have
in.
such a short moment.
Right,
That you have
there's
to
this
make
little
a
window.
Yeah.
How do we spark something? How does this crush develop when
Right.
all I can do is order a drink?
That's what I love so much about the Coffee Shop AU is like people trying to send secret messages through
Yes.
coffee orders and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And like having that kind of interaction for the coffee making stuff is fine. But like what you need is that kernel of that spark of excitement.
Right. Well, and you can't leave that door open. It can't be like,
Yeah.
well, I'll have my usual, and then you sit down across from you. That's
No.
not a barista relationship. The
No, it
barista
needs to
relationship
be
is
rush
meant.
hour and you see you crush and you only have 2.2 seconds to talk to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hi, how you doing? How's your week been? And like,
Yeah.
ooh, was that a little too close? Was that a little...
It's like
what was that?
remembering the thing they said last time.
They say your name, and you're like,
Yes.
oh, shit, okay, cool.
Yeah.
They remembered my name.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That doesn't work when you're like sitting across from them and they go, what is your name? You don't want them to know your name because you introduced yourself.
Yeah.
You want them to know your name because you come in often enough that they
Yeah.
like, remember your order.
I'm-
Are you getting your usual? Boom.
Right now, I'm getting so enlivened by thinking of the ways to gamify this thing.
It would be great.
Like just even having to remember the person's name.
Yes.
And remember what their drink
Yes.
order is before they order it.
This is what I'm saying.
Very easy to make this into a video game, and you wouldn't have to
100%.
change it from the regular mechanics.
And
really.
I want the other side of it. I want a coworker who's like, we need to put out more cheese danishes, and I got to be like, no, we got to put out more cherry danishes.
Yeah.
I want that. I want that.
Yeah.
That frisson.
Slap, kiss
You know
a
what I
little
mean?
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want that energy.
Hustle Cat, honestly,
Okay.
if you want this just
Okay.
in visual novel form,
Yes.
Hustle Cat
Okay.
did it for me. Also, cats.
Cats are great. I love cats.
And there's like so the
Okay,
person I romanced in Hustle Cat, Finley, who turns into the Calico Cat, there's this whole inside joke with her describing a game that's definitely Metal Gear Solid and the fan fiction she writes for it. But yeah,
Great.
There
that
is-
part's great.
Excellent.
You bring up cats. I just want to briefly give people a heads up about this game, Coffee Talk, which is like wants to be horny but won't let itself be horny because it knows horny is bad or something. It is.
Oh, did Resetera use her bell hooks write this game?
Oh my god. There is everyone is horny in this game a little bit, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like it's like 2013 online horny. So like there's a bit where the vampire tells there's a vampire who's friends with a werewolf. They've been friends for like 50 years or whatever. And yet somehow the vampire is still like, oh, have you figured out a way to restrain yourself from your fury every month? Because I heard that werewolves have to get into some kinky shit to restrain themselves from their fury. And you're like, are you going to do this bit? Also,
Yeah.
are y'all not dating? Like you come in, and you look like you're dating. You're not dating. Okay. That's fine. The vampire is married. It's fine. But then it's like, well, some werewolves do work out their fury by being horny and fucking, but we stick to vanilla stuff. It's like, what is this conversation? Why are you walking to the ledge and backing off? And then the reason I bring up the cat thing is every day in this game, you check your phone and you like are subscribed to the newspaper where your writer friend's fiction runs,
Excuse me.
which is not a thing.
Just talk to one of us one time.
Once, please, I'm begging you. And her fiction, I already said the Death Drive one.
Yeah.
It gets progressively like bad, horny joke. There was an entire one, and this is like content warning for light bestiality.
Okay. Okay, let's go.
In which a character in the fiction of the world of this game, and not in the world of this game, but in a story written by a character and by the character who comes in your regular, wrote this story where she's like it's like a date between a woman and a dude, and the woman always says, "What is the craziest thing you've ever done?" Like that's my icebreaker on first dates to see if people can keep up with me. And then the guy's like, I don't know. Should I go first? And she's like, no, let me go first. And she tells a story that is she likes to make out with cats. She likes to kiss cats. She's like kissing cats since she was a 14-year-old girl. And da-da-da-da-da. And then the whole thing is set up a punchline, of course, right? Which is like there's this whole day, like the whole date, and the guy is like his face is completely flat, but he's clear that he's like not. This is like weird.
Yeah.
But unlike other dates, he hasn't left yet. And at the end, she's like, well. If you don't like this, why haven't you just left yet? And he goes, because I'm a dog person. And it's like, what is this game doing? Why are you making, it's a bad joke about kissing animals.
Yeah.
Also, this is a world in which
like
there are
you
animal
tried to
people.
make
There are animal people in this where it's like,
Right.
you read this story right after you've met a cat who turns into an 18-year-old like pop idol because that's the game this is. And it's just none of it. I would rather this game just be openly horny. I'd rather this just be like an H game, frankly. It would have just been clearer and more honest with itself. It was like, and also you can fucking orc in it.
Right.
So this is like a journey that I went on when it came to my own bisexuality, where I realized I was attracted to women but didn't want to be weird about being attracted to women. And so I would just like not say anything or make weird jokes about women that I found attractive. And what I discovered long term, and after having it done to me also, was that just makes people feel really weird. And it makes them feel not safe around you. And it makes them not, not sure whether or not they're being hit on, which, like, speaking from experience, like, I will want to know. I want to know whether or not it's happening so that I can give a clear no if I don't want it or a clear yes if I do want it.
Like, dancing around is really bad.
It's just bad. It creates an atmosphere where like sex is permissible, but asking questions about it is not.
Right.
Which is an incredibly bad environment to create.
And I don't think this is like, this stuff is just like corny and I want to be clear, like I don't think everything I don't like is like a personal trauma to me. Like I don't have pitchforks out right now. I just think it's corny and bad. I don't think it does the thing it's trying to do particularly well. And that's really disappointing. And like, it's such a shame because I think it has such a really good looking aesthetic. I think it has like such a chill vibe. I wanted it to like calm me down. I just played Daemon X Machina, a very fast paced action-y game, which is out on PC, by the way. People who like mechs should go play Daemon X Machina on PC. There's a 200 frames per second setting. It looks so good. That's the way it's supposed to look. Anyway, and instead I was like, man, fucking, I'm heated. This game should be good and it's bad. I'm upset.
Aww.
I wish this was really good.
I'm really sorry.
It's fine.
That does seem like a disappointment when, like, the coffee shop AU is such a standby because it is so comforting.
Totally.
It's like sometimes, let's use Dragon Age Inquisition again as an example.
Course.
Sometimes you really just like can't get out of your head. Like, I bet Dorian and Bull would be so hilarious as coworkers
They'd be
in
the
a coffee
best.
shop.
Please let me
Just
do a
like
shift.
watching them like flirt with each other all throughout a shift.
Yep.
I want to read that.
Side-eye shitty customers who come in.
Oh my God. Where
Shitty customer comes in, Dorian is at the register, the customer's giving Dorian shit, Bull comes out. And I was
Yeah.
like, excuse you?
Yeah.
Excuse you? You're
doesn't
going
have to
leave.
say anything, just
He
stands
just like
behind
stands,
him.
yeah. The customer just like shrinks back. Love it.
And like Dorian is like getting more and more flustered.
Dorian's dad comes in.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
This is good stuff. This is what I'm saying.
See? Like this is what you want to feel when you
This is
are
what
in
I
a
want- yeah.
coffee shop fiction experience.
It's so good. Dorian is anyway.
That's so. That is just that was really
Then
saddening.
there's friction between Dorian and Bull because Dorian. This is the thing. Dorian is like, well, when my dad is in the shop, I can't be affectionate in public.
Yeah.
And Bull's like, what? Why? Are you ashamed? He's like, well, no, it's complicated into Winter. Da 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 da.
Oh my God! I'm just
It's
gonna
great.
write this fic now.
Please write
I
this
hope
fic.
you know this.
Please write
I only write fluff.
His dad's a senator. It's a whole thing.
Oh my God!
Anyway.
Oh, I need to write that. Yeah, you could have had that.
I could have had that. Instead, I didn't.
And-
Instead, I didn't. There's a mini game. The thing that's wild is, and the reason I want to bring this to something you've played, Cook Serve Delicious too, is there's a mini game version that you can play. It's like endless mode, which is like just make drinks. It's like, no, making drinks is clicking 3 buttons and hitting brew, and that is it. But it's set up as if it is Cook Serve Delicious. Like, there's a new customer in, and they're like, give me a mint tea, please. Please give me
TT Mint.
TT Mint. TT Mint, boom. That's it. It's like, well, that's not, you can't do, that's not what this game is.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so Cook
Cook
Serve
Serve Delicious,
Delicious 3.
the third.
Oh my God, this game whips. So
Okay.
I wasn't sure I was going to like it because it has the same learning curve as any Cook Serve Delicious. Cook Serve Delicious.
I'm bad at those games.
It treats food service like food service. Like the actual, if you've ever worked food service,
Yes.
even in just a cashier, like I was a cashier in a food service place. So even in just that capacity, you will, or you've been around a kitchen of any kind. I also, I interacted with the chefs a lot at that food service place. You will understand exactly the mindset and mode of being you have to be in to play these games, where it's all about timing. Everything is about timing.
Right.
And it's about being able to do things mechanically without thinking about them.
Right.
So memorizing recipes so you can do them while also getting something else done.
Right.
Which is something that appeals to me. Recently, I learned because I have ADHD and I hyperfocus.
Okay.
So that's the thing. Like that's the part of my brain that I tap into when I play these games. It's like me indulging myself in this thing I've used for a long time to cope with my very recently diagnosed ADHD, where the ability to just sink into a game and do something very hard mechanically because I've memorized every single moving part feels so good. And like that is the experience of working in or around a kitchen. It all depends on timing. There's no room to fuck up. If you do, you just have to move on and try again tomorrow.
So the way this game works is like you are looking at like a kitchen top.
Yes.
Right, so to speak.
Yes.
And then customers have place orders, and that's all visual, right? It's like, here's, I want fish sticks, or I want...
You'll see a line on the side of the orders you have coming
Like
in,
on
the
the left
tickets
side.
on the
Yeah,
left-hand
okay,
side.
right, tickets, yeah, sure.
You have holding stations also on the top of the screen where you can, have like garden salad or, chicken nugget, stuff that doesn't have to be cooked on, for the order itself.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
Cool.
so you can pick those up, and, customers can just pick those up and pay for them. And this one, it's a little bit different, but let's just explain the mechanics. So when an order comes in, you select it, and then you have to cook it.
Right. I want a grilled cheese with bacon.
Okay, so grilled cheese with bacon. They don't have it with bacon in those games.
Okay, that's
just
fine.
regular kind grilled
Fine.
cheese.
I like grilled cheese. I want like a 4-cheese grilled cheese.
Yeah, we can do that for you.
Okay, thank you.
What happens is I press a whole bunch of buttons on the keyboard. It's like, I think 6 buttons to butter the pan, butter the top bread, put it on the pan, add cheese, add the top bread,
so
butter
each
the
of
top
those steps
bread
is a button.
It's
It's like
button.
B for bread.
Yeah. And then
it's T for butter or whatever.
Yeah, it goes through, and each of those things are a button, and you have to press all the buttons in sequence, and then set it to just grill, and then there'll be a timer, and when the timer is up, that order is ready, and you have to serve it. So while you're executing other orders, you also have to have an eye on the tickets that have come in, which ones are ready. Everything also is like a limited amount of time.
Right.
So if you wait too long on a
Customers are
ticket,
waiting.
you will lose that ticket, and those customers will leave, and you'll get a bad review, and you won't make as much money. So, like, not everything is exactly like that. Sometimes our orders are customizable. Like, if you wanted an ice cream sundae, maybe you don't want caramel syrup. You want chocolate
I
syrup.
want chocolate syrup.
Yeah,
Right,
and a
right.
cherry on top.
Yeah, I do.
And a little whipped cream.
Please.
Sprinkles?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I
then
would have to
you
hit all
would
those
hit
buttons.
and that would be different than another customer who
Yeah.
comes in and says, I want caramel and strawberries.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Weird order, but I'll give it to you.
You know what? Ice cream with
Ice cream caramel and strawberries, it's so
why?
sweet.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
That's very
You just
sweet.
need the strawberries for
Fair.
that one.
Fair.
Strawberries
Fair.
and whipped cream.
Fair.
And some sprinkles for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that so like you will also, for that one it's all about the customization and paying attention to what they actually ordered.
Right.
And to make sure that they got the right thing. Because you've gotten a wrong order before.
100%.
It sucks. I got Taco Bell with meat on it instead of Taco Bell without meat on it the other day. I'm really sad. I mean,
That's
it's
not
a
what
$3 correction.
Right. I know. Yeah.
But
fair.
it still was disappointing because since I discovered that you can put refried beans on a cheesy gordita crunch, it's like really made my life so much better.
Right.
But yeah, so that is
That's like
baseline
the basics.
what you're dealing with.
Yes.
In this most recent one, the first two were all about building a restaurant in a building.
Right.
And like getting the ability to customize it and building out your own menu and getting high scores that
I'm
way.
a restaurateur. Like I do,
Yeah.
quick serve. What's the word I'm looking for? Not quick serve.
In the second game,
You
you
know what I
could do
mean.
shifts at other restaurants
Oh,
with set
cool.
menus.
Interesting.
Which
Cool.
I thought was really interesting. So if you wanted to learn all the chicken recipes, you go work at the Chicken Hut.
Right.
Yeah. And if you want to go to, do a high
Like a fancy
restaurant,
yeah.
international food restaurant, you go work at that one.
Interesting. Wow. So the first of these games is like I'm a restaurant. I'm like like an entrepreneurial restaurateur, and the second one is like I have to work three gigs to stay afloat.
I'm a line cook.
I'm a line cook, working a shift.
Yeah.
Bouncing
my
from
dream
side jobs.
is to have
Right,
my
of
own
course.
restaurant,
Right.
but first I got to get all these shifts done.
Right.
It's because I got to pay my bills.
Right.
And this third one, they've completely gone like totally like sci-fi, like out of reality. So this one, it's like set in the future. There's been another war that's devastated America, and your restaurant has been destroyed.
No.
But the two robots that came to rescue you.
Oh, great.
So two robots that came to rescue you. That's where we're starting from. Whisk and Cleaver, who are
Good
really,
names.
really fun robots to have around. They repurpose their search and rescue truck and turn it into a roving restaurant on wheels for you. And you're doing a tour of the United States, starting in Idaho,
Wow.
of your food truck restaurant. And
Love
it's really cute. There's a lot. So that means that
So
money
wait.
has changed in a significant way.
Yeah. Okay.
Every state has their own currency now.
Wow.
And there's an exchange rate for different states and stuff.
Great.
So the money you make in one state might not exchange in the way that you'd like it to in the next state.
Is that
Stuff
what
like that.
greenbacks were? Or is that the other way around?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We had old currency at a time, right? That was a
Yeah,
thing.
we did.
Yeah, I
Sure.
mean,
I don't know.
before we decided to be a country, everybody was all fucked up about
Well,
everything.
sure.
Yeah. It was so that stuff is really interesting on its own. And it's also added some handy things where sometimes customers on your way to the next stop, you'll get orders that come in, but you're just packaging them up as to-go orders. So you've got a little bit more time on them.
You said greenbacks. I thought you said green packs.
I also thought you said green packs, and I was
greenback.
confused. I was like,
what
are
is
those
a
like
green
V-Bucks?
pack? What is a green? Yeah. Yeah. What?
But
You can get green packs delivered in New York now. It's
Oh,
great.
really?
It's real good. It's like very secure.
Did you see that green pack
yeah,
truck?
I got a
Yeah.
guy.
You gotta go.
Want me to refer you?
Yeah, please hook me up.
So there's that stuff, which makes the sort of background stuff like more interesting. They figured out how to use this narrative device to do a bunch of cool, new, weird things with the mechanics. But then when you're going to the food stuff, like you will have stops on your sort of tour of the state, and on your way to that stop, you will be packaging orders and putting stuff in your to-go stations. And what the robots give to you, which is the one thing that's really changed the game for me, is if you press control, all of the orders that are ready to go will be delivered.
Oh, wow.
So if you've hooked up everything in your service, like holding stations, and everybody at your next stop just wants chicken nuggets, it's just control, control, control,
Wow, that
control.
feels great.
And it feels incredible. It's interesting trying to get the balance back with having to do other orders at the same time,
Right.
making sure that the holding station, because you can just immediately sell out all of your holding stations at one
And
of
then
those
you have
stops.
to like refill those,
And then
but
you have to refill
also
those.
do the new orders.
Yes, and that's when things get really hectic. See, this is the thing when you mentioned that there's coffee talk that I would want. Because coffee,
Right.
if you've ever done barista work, again, I did it like
Right.
once.
School lets out, and there
Yeah.
are like 30 kids
Yeah.
who want drinks.
Yeah.
The rush is
The rush
horrible.
is
Yo,
the thing.
I worked
Kids drink coffee nowadays, too.
Kids be drinking coffee.
It is fucking weird, man. My dad told me coffee would make me short, and I'm 5'1". Listen, if you're in high school and you're drinking coffee right now, did your parents tell you that coffee would
No,
make you
this
short?
is a lie
Yeah.
to
I know they were lying to me, but listen, it also came true.
you. It also came true.
No, they were both the shortest in their family. I think genetics had more to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, kids just be Starbucks is the new McDonald's. They were
Starbucks.
talking about this
Yeah.
on Street Fight
true.
Radio.
It's true.
And kids don't. One of them has a teenage daughter, and like their kids don't go out to go get fast food anymore.
They go to Starbucks.
They go to Starbucks
to get a drink that's as expensive as going to get fast food.
Exactly. It's wild to me. But yeah, timing
those rushes
is so
hit.
those
Yeah.
rushes
Yeah.
hit, and the timing is so essential on that. Being able to pull the milk at the exact right time, so when the espressos,
Right.
the shots are done, the
Knowing
milk
you
is
got like
already
3
ready.
espressos, so you're gonna run 2 double shots at
Right.
the same time
Yeah,
while you're
yeah, yeah.
also
Yeah. You just see like a line of 15 children come in, and you just know that you got to bring your A game.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I would want from a coffee simulator.
Yeah.
Cook, serve, delicious.
Has that part.
Has that part. Not related to coffee, but
Right.
related to just like you have to line up, you have to set up a system and execute it.
That sounds great.
It really
Does it do much
truly
with
is so
the
good.
post World War III setting?
It It's building it out slowly,
Okay.
which is interesting. I'm only in the first
Not that I
stage.
want that from this kind of like arcade sim.
Yeah.
I
like it that it's just kind of a weird flavor.
It's really an interesting choice to
Yeah.
go there.
You can see the thing that they wanted to do, right? They wanted to have a lot of different currencies so that
Right.
you could play with exchange rates. And they also definitely wanted this control automatic serve button.
Right.
And for that, they went immediately to robots. And from
Robots.
there, if the other two games are grounded in the United States of America, sort of, then why not just take it straight to, World War III
Mad
shit.
Max America.
Mad Max America shit.
Yeah.
That all video games eventually do go to the post-apocalypse. Why
Right,
not the cooking
right,
game too?
right.
And I like it when it's exactly on that level.
Mm-hmm.
And if it ends up being political in any way, it's not like
That's going to be a bonus for you if they hit that.
Yeah.
Not
yeah,
you don't expect it.
No, I think thinking about there's two political ideas there that are not being explored but are nice to think about, which is the way that food and feeding people connects people in a time
Yeah.
of crisis, and also what would happen to America if there was a war here.
Yeah.
And those two things are nice to explore, but I'm not expecting this game to go much farther than we brought America together by
Also-
serving everyone hot, delicious food.
It's also wild that in the future where there's automated search and rescue robots, they're going to be like, we found you. Also, do you want our shit? We'll work for you for free.
They frame it so cutely. So this one's also fully voiced, which the other two
interesting.
games aren't.
Okay,
It's really, really sweet. I really like the robot characters a lot. They frame it as Whisk. Whisk is a big fan of your restaurant, and when she
okay.
showed up, she was so afraid that you were dead.
Oh, no.
And when they find you, they were like, "What our country needs right now in this state of upheaval is someone like you that's compassionate and has delivered so efficiently, delivered such great food.
Yeah.
If only you could have another restaurant." And then Cleaver doesn't want to do it, but Whisk is like, "How about our truck?"
And that's it.
And then that's the setup
There
to
you
the
go.
game. And I think this one also has the best tutorial. If you've never played one of these games, it really eases you in to the chaos that is Cook Serve Delicious.
Yeah.
And I just really need this exact kind of thinking,
Yeah, totally. There's again, to talk about anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people like games that let you organize or master systems of
Yeah.
just systems in that way. I just talked to Vinny Caravella at Giant Bomb about this.
Oh, yeah.
But how much he loved to build a machine that worked, and that was a
Factorio.
real life thing. But Factorio
Yeah.
now in Satisfactory, I think he plays a lot of. And,
yeah.
that feel I came in once and saw him playing Factorio after hours, and I was like, Vinny, what are you doing? He's like, I can't stop. I can't. This feels so good. It feels good to make something that works.
I am when I'm stressed out, which I'm stressed out constantly because I work in media and I have an anxiety disorder. I don't seek out things that are calming. I seek out things that will allow me to use my stress energy
Right.
up so that I can calm down
Yeah.
afterward.
Totally.
And Cook Serve Delicious has traditionally been it's been going to be a really long primary, and I care a lot about it. And I'm gearing up to start doing calling and texting and knocking on doors when it comes closer to New York time. So I know that I'm going to need some kind of release. And Cook Serve Delicious is always a place I can go to, and all I can think about is how to play the game well, and I don't have to think about anything else.
Yeah.
And that, all my favorite games are like that in some capacity. No Man's Sky is like that checklist game, that kind of thing. That works for me. In No Man's Sky, you're
Right.
making a list, and that
Yeah.
list is nested into another list.
You're
and
working
this is
through. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
God, I want to play more No Man's Sky.
It's really good now too. I have to dive back into it, but we should.
Yeah,
we'll talk about
do
it.
a different No Man's Sky conversation.
Yeah.
soon. We should take a break
Yeah.
before we get back into some stuff. I need to take a real break.
Okay.
We'll take that break, and I'll be back in a second.
Okay. Cool.
All right, we are back. Kato,
Hi.
where are you at today? What's going on with you?
Stuff.
I see a few things on this list.
Yeah.
I know you
What
played
did I
Outer
say?
Wilds.
I always forgot.
And Outer Wilds we'll talk about next week probably.
Yeah.
We'll try to do a spoiler cast for that very soon because you beat it
Excited.
and Patrick beat it.
I almost beat it.
Okay, well, you watched the ending. You told me,
I know.
which I'm not happy about. But you wouldn't have done that if you didn't think you had to record that.
Yeah, and then
Patrick got
got
sick. So Patrick's off today.
Patrick's got the flu this time.
I know it's going around. I got to
Yeah.
be careful.
Did you get a flu shot?
I don't want to talk about it. I should have, and I didn't. This is the first year in a minute that I have not gotten one, and I should have gotten one.
You can still get one.
I should go get one.
You
I'll
should
go get one
get that
today.
one.
All
Okay.
right, listen, hand to God. I'm gonna go get
On
one today.
God,
On
Austin
God,
Walker.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
get a flu shot. Kind of. What else besides Outer Wilds? You also told me
yeah,
Tales from Off Peak City,
yeah.
which is a Cosmo D joint, right?
Whomst I don't know, but you said
Cosmos released some wild shit. The Norwood Suite was the thing that I think a lot of people liked
Yeah.
a couple years ago, and then the Dog Opera,
Dog Opera.
Cosmo D Dog Opera. Am I
need to look
confusing
this
that with
up.
somebody else?
No, yeah, but like
I might be confusing that with somebody else. Anyway, continue.
there was just a link dropped, and I was like, I'll check out this thing. Let's see. They said it was like 90 minutes. Like I spent 90 minutes in it. I'm pretty sure I'm nowhere close to like even.
Really?
Here's the thing with this game is that I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I got a BFA in my undergrad, and I did a minor in photography, and oftentimes there's a lot missing from photo modes in games.
Mm-hmm.
This game has a camera that does some really neat stuff. So I ended up taking a bunch of fucking photos for like an hour instead of actually like talking to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But to kind of set up this game is that you're on basically like an intersection of two streets in the city. And there's a bunch of people out in the streets that you can talk to, and some of the buildings you can talk to because they're giant faces that talk. It's kind of, I want to say the word surreal, but that's not actually what I mean. But it's surreal in the way you probably think surreal is.
Yeah,
it's not surreal in the
definition. It's not
surrealist
dictionary. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got you. But it's surreal. It's lowercase s surreal. Also, I was
Yeah.
wrong. Real quick, I just want to correct myself. Oikos Spiel, which is the dog opera game, was by David Kanaga, who I think runs in similar circles as Cosmo D. I know they've talked on Twitter and stuff, but different game. Similar vibes in some in the way that we talk about lowercase s surreal.
Surrealism,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And you're the setup is that you're coming to the city to talk to a specific person whose name I've already forgotten because I'm really bad at remembering names, but they're an ex-saxophone jazz player who now owns a pizza shop, and you're on a it's very BioShock opening. You're on a boat. There's people talking to you about coming to this place, and then they tell you like go talk to this man and find his saxophone that he's lost. And when you get there, very quickly there is a stoop sale happening where you can pick up this camera, and like they like kind of point you as like also you should go grab this camera, and use it to kind of explore the city.
Okay.
So this game, it's basically I guess you would describe it as an adventure game or a walking sim, but people are having conversations in wherever they are, and you have the option of getting closer and talking to them,
Okay,
or
it's like
just
a first-person
listening.
exploration, like cityscape
Yeah.
thing. Okay.
Which is very interesting given the fact that they also give you this camera very early.
Right.
Because it really like puts you into this mode and the differences of like observing people and actually interacting with them, and how cameras, I mean, this is kind of a thing that you do you think about a lot when you're like doing street photography, is like where that kind of wall is, and like what changes in
Right.
people's like movements or positions when they notice you. And this game actually kind of does a few things like that, where like people will change positions or change they act like when they acknowledge you, which is really fun. And also the camera itself does a couple interesting things where one of the things they added is shutter time, which
Right, yeah.
normally-
Well, I'm looking at this now. That's why I'm, yeah.
normally they what this does in real life photography is, the shutter opens, light hits the film, and depending on how much time that is, you'll get a darker or brighter image.
Right. In terms of like how long the film is exposed for,
Yeah.
basically.
And if you get your settings right, otherwise you can also use that to kind of do when you see like photos of a car moving, but there's the streak of light left
Yes,
behind.
right.
Right. That's like a long shutter exposure. You're letting that shutter stay open for a long time. And the light kind of draws on the film. So it allows you to kind of rudimentarily, but like really boost that
That's
shutter time open.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
you can do a lot of like kind of double exposure stuff, streak stuff, where you're kind of noticing more how much movement there actually is in the space, which is very interesting, and also allows for a lot of fun creative things that a lot of photo modes like kind of don't have, in the way that this requires a physical like a physical movement from
Right.
your body in order to make new changes to the image you're capturing.
Right, and there's a degree of remove, right? Like this is not a photo mode. A lot of photo modes have just like, hey, how much contrast do you want?
Right.
What time of day do you want it to be?
Right.
Hey, do you want there to be a filter on this? And this
Yeah.
is like, no, like
This is-
adjust
this
your
is like-
shutter speed,
right.
adjust your focal point.
You are holding a camera, and like your body still matters in these movements, because also
Right.
as you get closer to people to try to line a shot, they'll like they'll notice you and look
Right,
over.
right.
So like it's got a lot of really those kind of interesting aspects of taking photography in the real world
That's really
that
interesting.
a lot of game photo cameras sort
This
of
sounds
ignore.
so dope.
The other part of this that is really interesting is kind of the actual narrative part of it, is this kind of depressed, economically depressed area that has a like large corporation that laid everyone off, and is kind of the reason why things are rough in the area. And the kind of and I'm still very early in this part because I spent so much time with the camera, but it's kind of setting up this one of the classic like dichotomies of like your passion and a career, surviving in capitalism versus doing a thing that you're interested in intellectually, and I'm always as a person who ran into this in my own life as like deciding to like, find a career that I was kind of happy with versus struggling as an artist forever and ever. And shout out to everyone who's making it work.
Yeah, seriously.
Fucking, it's hard out there. But I always really enjoy these sort of discussions, and a lot of the stuff that it's set up at first with this man who used to be a jazz musician and is now just like trying to survive with his pizza place in a area where like even a pizza place is not doing well. All seems like really interesting stuff, and I'm ready to kind of like sit down and actually like go through more of that.
Yeah.
But like
Awesome.
Super.
It's
If any of that sounds
currently-
interesting, it's totally like, even just for the camera alone, it was worth it for me.
Right.
But there
I
seems to be
think-
a lot of cool stuff going on.
I think it's only on Humble Choice right now, but it's coming to Itch and Steam later this year, is my understanding.
Right.
Humble Choice is like the subscription Humble service.
Right.
I think.
Right.
Cool. Anyone else got anything going on they want to shout out, game wise?
Video game wise, I mean, I the other thing I've been doing, speaking of being stressed out, has been playing just a ton of Darkest Dungeon.
Oh,
suddenly.
great stress reliever is Darkest Dungeon.
Well, I actually reached a new point in this game where I think I've actually become good at
Oh,
it and not
okay.
just like deeply distressed by
Okay,
it.
talk to me about Darkest Dungeon. It's been a minute.
I care so much about the little people in video games that I have. When a dwarf dies in Dwarf
Yeah,
Fortress,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
fucking
yeah. Totally.
devastated. When a sim dies, I often will try to like reverse the death in
Yeah.
some way or add them as a ghost. In this, because I opened up a save file I haven't played since at least like last year, like at least since I was in the Union Square office for
Oh, wow, it's a minute.
GMG
Yeah.
Media when it was still Gizmodo Group.
Yeah.
I haven't played the save file since then, and
You just jump back in.
I just
you didn't
jump
do
back
the
in.
thing, because sometimes a game like this, you go like, you know what? Let me start a new save game.
I like really thought about it, and I was like, I don't want to play that really annoying mission you
Opening.
have to do.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want to play that this time. I do, and I which is like I
And
already
also,
have
you
a
don't
save.
you don't have classes unlocked yet.
Yeah,
You don't
seriously.
have like a bunch
I
of
wanted to
stuff.
get to the good stuff. I was
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
this YouTuber, Christopher Odd, who's just like this incredibly pleasant Canadian guy who does like mostly horror games and strategy games. And so
This is
obviously
perfect.
I love him for that
Yeah.
reason.
Right,
I
yes.
watched his XCOM run throughs.
His XCOM runs
He's
are
such
really
a nice guy.
He is so nice.
So weird.
He also-
to find someone nice that's popular.
I like Christopher Odd a lot because whenever he does a game that's like weird or offbeat in any way, he meets it on their own terms.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not. He doesn't make fun of anything.
Yeah.
He's always like, I'm playing this game because I'm interested in these
Hell yeah.
topics, and I'm asking you, the watcher, the viewer, to join me in
this-
discovery.
right. Yeah.
He always says for horror games, we're gonna get in the zone. We're gonna turn off the lights. We're gonna put our headphones on and turn the volume up high because you're gonna meet this game on its level. And I want to see more of that. I
Hell
want to
yeah.
see more of that and less of, oh, I look at this itch.io game I'm making fun
I'm
of.
making fun of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What's this person's name?
Christopher Odd. And he's nice. He's a sweetheart.
Gotcha. I
and
see
he
it.
just-
Odd. ODD.
Yeah.
One word.
Yeah.
Collapsed.
Yes. So he was doing a modded run of Darkest Dungeon. He was like, I played a lot of this game. It's one of my favorite games ever. And I just haven't done a definitive start to end run.
Sure.
So I want to have that on my channel. And he has all the DLC and he's doing a modded version with like a bigger stagecoach so that you can have
You
a
have
bigger
more people-
roster.
Bigger roster. Yeah.
And a slightly easier stress management.
Okay.
Not so easy
Okay.
that it makes the game not at the nightmare that it is, but a little bit. So I think it just reduces a lot of the costs from being so prohibitively high as they are in the early
Yeah.
game. And so you just start from things being closer to 1,000 gold or sub 1,000 rather than you just not being able to not have everyone have a heart attack.
Yeah. Instantly.
Yeah. So because I'm jumping into something I haven't interacted with since I was like a year and a half ago, I didn't care if anyone lived or died.
Wow.
You know,
Just throw them into the gears.
I did, and it felt
Go explore this ancient estate for me.
it felt good to just
I
let
don't
them
care if you
die
come back.
and be okay with that
Wow.
though.
Damn. Okay.
I was able for the first time to look at them in such a mercenary way, and then I realized that by doing that, I was better at the game.
oh.
Because
yeah,
I could,
sure.
instead of trying to like save everybody's
yeah,
experience,
which is when a Darkest Dungeon game
Yeah.
falls apart.
is when you try to save somebody.
Yeah.
I was just
A
like,
run is going bad. You should just flee. Let the person die. It's okay.
yeah, either you suffer the stress of defeat and they die and it's fine,
Right.
or you let them die and you complete the mission,
Right.
and then you have one more room in your roster for another Vestal,
Damn.
which you really need.
Which is what you need, anyways. You need
Yeah.
those heals.
Yeah.
What is your Kata, have you played Darkest Dungeon ever?
Never.
Okay. Gita, what is your Darkest Dungeon favorite class combo setup? Like
So-
what do you like?
What I really like to have, what I've been running with a lot of the time,
Yeah.
is Vessel in the back,
Mhm.
Abomination leading.
Abomination is the one that is like can turn into a monster.
Yes.
Gonna describe a mullet of some sort.
Yeah, Vessel in the back and then Abomination in the front. Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah.
So Abomination leading behind, or no, actually an occultist right in the front.
Oh, interesting.
Because an Abomination, if they're in the second or third, they can still do attacks when
Interesting.
they're untransformed form,
Yeah.
which is nice because having them transform does a doozy on people's sanity. But I like having a cultist there too because an occultist can heal themselves. So you have two
Yeah,
people
that's
who
like
can
the
do health
best thing
stuff.
about occultist for
Yeah,
sure.
and like if you give everybody buffs that makes them resist bleed, then having them heal other people isn't as big of a risk.
Yeah.
So it'll be in the front, from the front of the line to the back. It'll be occultist, Abomination, Highwayman, Vestal.
Highwayman's the pistols.
Yeah.
Pistols and daggers.
Because they get a lot. If you can, sometimes I replace the Abomination with a Grave Robber.
Yeah.
Because if they both have ranged attacks, both the Grave Robber and the Highwayman have ranged attacks that hit more than one enemy.
Yeah.
And using that with a combination of everybody else's moves, if you can get them the enemy surprised, means you are taking out at least one enemy before they hit you.
Interesting. Okay.
Which my whole thing is come in really hard and strong.
And just win that fight as quickly as possible.
It's just like you don't even get a chance to fight back.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, and like this happened to me where I was doing a short mission that should have been easy for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a whole party kill because they got an edge in,
Fuck.
they got a toe in the door, and it was just. a series of bad rolls, and it was a total party wipe.
I'm looking at a list of the classes now, and there's stuff that's been added since. Like I have not played.
So watching
with,
Christopher Odd, I haven't played with
Yeah.
any DLC, but
Okay.
watching Christopher Odd's playthrough, he's got everything on. You can really see
I'm gonna
a
watch
lot
that,
of
I
the
think.
new classes.
because I'm really curious about like the Shield Breaker and the Flagellant.
Yeah,
and
the
there's
Shield
stuff
Breaker
here that I've
seems
never
super
seen.
interesting. And
Yeah, she seems
Christopher
dope.
Odd had one that was like a ghost hunter, like a Ghostbuster style
Interesting.
ghost hunter. And now in the ruins, if you have that DLC on, there will be
Right.
ghosts.
There will be ghosts.
Wait, like proton pack?
Yeah.
Ass? What?
Yeah,
Is that
like a
is that
steampunk
like a mod?
proton
Is that
pass.
like a
Wow.
No, that was a real. That was from the Color Out of
Wild.
Space DLC.
Okay, cool.
You know, it's weird. It made me really want to. I've been going through this moment where I guess the world is so existentially terrifying that I've been wanting to find ways to interact with Lovecraftian
Mm-hmm.
mythos ideas without actually doing Lovecraft, because
Uh-huh.
like some people can read Lovecraft and not be bothered by the race stuff, but for me, it's just so in the text.
It's so right there. Yeah.
like he will just straight say to you in the text that Africans are monsters.
Oh yeah.
But so that has been one good way for me to get that. I've been reading some Legati, and he just hates everyone in the human race. So like that's a little different.
It's a little yeah.
I got the audiobook for China Medieval's Kraken. I finally finished October. So
nice.
I went straight
Awesome.
from October to Kraken. And, you know, Darkest Dungeon,
Is
it
it-
gives
is it-
you
is it-
so
yeah,
much
yeah,
of that without having to deal with the Lovecraft anything
The
at all.
explicit racism of Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. I put a lot of time into Darkest Dungeon when it first. Actually, I guess it was when it was still in early access. It was.
Yeah.
It was
I can't
really.
believe that came out early access.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm pretty sure it did.
You're
I
right.
feel
I
like
know
that
you're
was-
right.
I feel like that was one of the first games where I was like, I need to stop playing this because if I do, I'm not going to play it when it fully releases. And then that is exactly what kind of happened. It
Yep.
came out and I felt like I'd already gotten my fill a little bit, but then when it came back out on Switch, I got back into it pretty big, except the Switch version was bugged in some key ways and like didn't it was just like not the best experience.
I think now if you want to, it was mostly the DLC that was bugged.
Yeah, it was like the Vampire Court stuff.
Yeah, I
that
think
was straight up
they did
broken.
fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I like getting back into it and like adding DLC piece by piece so I
Yeah.
can understand what happens.
Right,
Especially
totally.
because
Instead of
like
just
the
being like-
Darkest Dungeon DLC transformed to the game so
It's like,
radically.
here's a whole new area that has entirely new stuff that
Yeah.
changes like
and
the
here's
way.
a new resource, and here's a new mechanic you're gonna have to
Right,
juggle
right,
on top
right.
of everything else. So.
Totally.
But I've been playing it on the Switch. There are still some like I have to play the combination of controller and touch control.
Oh, interesting.
Because like I
Some
can't.
stuff is just better.
Some stuff like dragging the little portrait into the brothel to have them
like,
go to the
chill out,
brothel.
yeah.
Much easier doing it with your finger than with the controls. But scrolling through your roster is much easier with controls.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a little bit. But the thing is, the Switch is built for that, and
Yeah,
I think that's how
totally.
everyone envisioned the Switch would be used.
Yeah.
And they were wrong, but
It's not how most things work.
No.
Most people don't. Most games don't reward that in
Yeah.
any way. So
yeah. I mean, I think if you're gonna play this not on PC, the Switch where you can do a combination of control
Yeah,
and
it makes a lot of
touchscreen is
sense.
like the best way to do it. But if you want to play it on a television, I'm just like, sorry. I don't think there's going to be
There's
an
not gonna
ideal
be,
way.
no.
There's
Run a
too many
HDMI
things.
cord to your PC, I guess.
Yeah, get one of those Steam controllers they don't make anymore.
I have one of those, and I don't think
I
I
have
think
one
I used
too.
it like one night, and
Yeah.
it didn't click for me. I know if I put the work in, I could probably make it work for me, but
I used it
not worth
because like the PS4 controllers don't hook up
Right.
to the PC very well.
Right.
But then like one day I was like, I could just get a fucking
You
Xbox
just get an
controller.
Xbox controller that works. And I think the PS4 stuff is better now than it used to be.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
I'm
It's
pretty
a
sure they
driver
released a
thing.
driver that,
Yeah.
or if Sony didn't, someone did, if I recall
Oh,
right.
there's been
it just
one.
totally works.
There's
now.
like a tool
Yeah.
that like does this.
Totally. Briefly, I'll shout out. I already shouted out Daemon X Machina on PC, but really quick, it does just like if you are looking for an Armored Core type game on PC, that is one. By the time you hear this, it'll be out. It released early on Steam by mistake, and then they unreleased it early.
That's
It
really,
released last
really
night,
funny.
and I played it for like 2 hours, 3
Yeah.
hours. Like, wow, this runs really well. This is great. And then I closed it, and I went to relaunch it. It was like, no,
Not available.
unreleased.
It was already on your
I was
computer.
like, I already have a save file. Like, what are you
Unreleased.
doing?
Wow.
Yeah.
They took it back.
Get back. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
I bought that game on Switch.
I wish I'd known it was coming to Steam.
I honestly don't know what I was thinking because I don't play games like that on Switch really,
Right.
because I tend to play mostly on my commute on Switch,
yeah,
and it's just like not.
it's so fast paced.
It's
so,
not
like,
the right space for like it has to be like I play like that's where I play Smash. Right, like I can get a fight in on my because my commute is not long enough for me to
start tinkering with mech designs and doing long anime cutscenes.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm very excited for this because I'll actually finally sit down and play it.
So I really like that game. It was one of those things like Apex last week where I sat down with it. And I was like, I'm glad I wrote a really good review for this game. I really like this game a lot. So people should go read that review.
Yeah.
Apex.
I'm into Stormblood now. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The second expansion of Final Fantasy 14. I'm liking it. I'm like, nice. I'm kind of motoring through it. Like I hit the point where I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna play this game. I'm just gonna like go. Like I'm not gonna do side shit. I'm not gonna do I'm not gonna jump between classes. I'm a red mage.
Right.
I'm gonna stick to that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
I think that's honestly the way to go.
I'm like curious about some of the class quests and how they interact with this new stuff. But like this whole expansion so far has been about fostering rebellion against Empire, and like I know it's gonna take. My understanding is it's gonna take a turn, and some people just think the story gets boring or bad. But so far, like the stuff that I like about the Final Fantasy 14 stuff from the past, I said this already, but like is when they walk through the repercussions of these big like life-changing fantasy things, right? Which is like, oh shit, like when there is a big war between an empire, between dragons and this kind of Catholic Church, like what is the repercussions for that? How does that like affect everyday people's lives? And so far, this whole game has been like you're looking at kind of two fronts of this empire. One front that has been more recently colonized, and one that's been colonized for a full generation, and the different ways in which like revolution can kind of come from those two different things, and the ways in which the resistance is like stomped down, and the ways in which like there's like basically there's like I guess it's supposed to be kind of like Middle Eastern is one of the zones, and then the other set of zones is very East Asian, and that's kind of all the fashion for this is like very like feudal Japanese or Chinese historical vibes, right? And in that era or in that area, there has been colonized by this empire for a full generation, and you're getting that like second generation of young people who are now like in their upper teens, low 20s, who don't know anything other than living under occupation, and in fact are now like scrambling to become the emperor's favorite, basically, right? And that's interesting shit. Like there's like some really cool characters in there. The music isn't as good as Heavensward yet. The vibe isn't there. Like there's so many like little tiny things around like musical stings and armor design and stuff. Like I had my era of loving fantasy Japan shit. Like I was a Legend of the Five Rings fan. I watched every anime about fucking fantasy samurai I could get my hand on. Like that was a thing. So there was like a deep resonance for me when some motherfucker shows up with dope katanas.
Yeah.
Like I'm down for like like I said katanas, it's katana. The plural of katana is katana. That's how Japanese works. Really? Oh. Apologies. There's no pluralization in Japanese in that way. And it's something bad in the back of my brain from Japanese class was like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop it, Austin. And like so like this shit around like a bunch of cool fights between this cool ninja lady and the shitty imperial viceroy who's here, who loves to collect Japanese or not Japanese Domin swords because he thinks they're dope, and like that's the whole of his thing. Is he walks around with this motherfucker. This dude, first of all, sucks. His name is Xenos. I'm gonna pull up a picture of him I'm gonna pull up a picture and probably get a spoiler because this is how this shit goes.
Oh, good.
This motherfucker, he's like deep pretty boy mode, except I don't think he's that pretty. He's like long blonde hair. He also wears like
it's a bishinin.
He is. He's like supposed to be very bishy and like but he's also supposed to be like creepy. He's like got creepy face going on sometimes.
For and often 13-year-olds who shop a Hot Topic.
Right. And also people he wears like a big helmet sometimes.
Oh yeah, this is for people who had a crush on Legato Boot Summers from Trigun.
Yes, exactly.
I did.
Yes.
And I wrote fanfic about him.
And you can see he has this weird thing that is like a holster. It's like a giant revolver holster, except instead of a revolver like the thing that spins on a revolver,
does
like
it
the chamber.
Shoot swords?
No, but it holds them. Well, it shoots them into his hand. He'll like pop, like steampunk, like pop. Now I got the crystal one out. Now I got the one that does like super damage.
Yeah.
There've been some like cool boss fights against him so far. I'll say this: there's a boss fight with him early on. This is a cool thing. with MMOs that doesn't happen very often. It's like you can tell video games, you can tell story with mechanics. And normally, up until this point, when you've done a fight you're supposed to like lose or whatever, it's just against like an enemy who's like question mark level. Like, oh shit, they're so high level. This motherfucker showed up, he's like, I'm level 70, you're level 60. What's good?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna beat you. You're not gonna win this fight. You might fight until a cutscene happens. You just can't do the damage.
Right.
Just fight me. You cannot do the damage. I'm going to outlast you. Your MP is gonna drain, motherfucker. And I loved that. That was like a really cool fight.
Yeah.
That was like, fuck, I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna come for your ass. Like, I'm coming for you. And he sucks, but like when he fought this cool ninja lady, that was a cool little cutscene. Like, there's like, that stuff has been really cool for me in both the superficial way and also in the like, hey, there's some interesting stories here about how, you know, oppressed people cannot always just drop everything and fight for their for relief and for freedom because of the cost and because of the ways in which it seems like any attempt. And so many attempts have been foiled already. So many attempts have come with retribution that has ruined the lives of them and the people that they love. And walking through, like, how do you inspire a resistance in a world like that has been really fun. So I'm digging it. I'm sticking with it. I think I'm going to just try to, I'm trying to beat the expansion this month. Maybe I'll get in the patches, but, like, I'm going. I'm like,
nice.
I'm going to put that time in because I'm so close to Shadowbringers, which people love,
right,
that I'm like, I just want to get there. I just want to move through it. I had a cool fight against... Do you know the kind of Japanese myth around the like treasures, the Japanese treasures that are like the treasures of old?
No.
It's like a mirror, it's 3 sacred treasures, a mirror, a sword, and a magatama, which is like a jewel. And these are like these are the emperor's, like, this is the equivalent of the crown jewels, except imagine if the crown jewels had mythical repercussions that were like, this is the sword that cut the seed and revealed the island of Japan. And I'm probably butchering that because it's been so fucking long since I actually learned what Kusanagi did. But that is like the sort of thing it is. And they came alive and became a god, and then I fought that god, and the god got real big and threw a huge fucking sword down on the like a huge sword, and the tank had to like block the sword before it hit the party.
Wow.
That shit slapped.
That's good.
That shit for real slapped. So I'm having fun with that still. So shout outs to Final Fantasy.
Talking to the green fairy people
Still.
that talk weird.
The
quote unquote weird.
What are they called?
Spriggans or something? No, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
That's something else.
That's wrong.
That's not right. That's not right. I
What
don't
are they
remember
called?
their names.
They're not fairies because fairies are a different thing.
Yeah.
What are they fucking called? They're in Gridania,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they're in Gridania.
I know how to find this. I'll just search Gridania Beastmen
God.
because that's what those are called.
Beast tribe, right?
Beast tribes. Yeah. Sylphs. They're called sylphs.
Sylphs.
They're called sylphs.
You know, there's a certain tonal fantasy thing that Final Fantasy does that you can't get anywhere else.
What's that?
I don't know. It's.
Oh, you're just saying there is that.
There is like the way that they do fantasy tropes that is maximalist and does not care about how corny it is.
100%.
That I find so difficult to interact with in fiction whatsoever. I will play every Final Fantasy game specifically for that reason. It's just like I do not know where else to get this sort of like. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is the Wachowskis' Sisters movie. Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, Jupiter Ascending is 100% a Final Fantasy game.
Yes.
It has that. They go for it in that
the
exact way.
same, the wedding scene, you know, where it doesn't need to look like that. Where it doesn't need to be like even the bedazzled are bedazzled, you know,
right.
Like everything is just opulent to the nth degree. But it does. And I just really, it is unabashedly the thing that it is, which is one of my favorite things in fiction. And I feel like even in video games, you know, people have restraint and just like the fact that the Square Enix does not have that. I need it. I need it all the time. I've actually really seriously thought about starting playing 14, but I just don't have any time.
Don't do it.
I don't have any time.
You're good. You're good. That's the thing, right? Is like I feel like it is such a time sink, and I come back to this every time we talk about it, but it's like, I don't know how to recommend this game to somebody because so much of that time sink for me was so genuinely unfun that I don't think it's like irresponsible of me to be like, and then it's worth it,
Right.
because it has not been worth it yet. I'm just far enough in. I've sunk enough. The sunken cost fallacy is a fallacy when it comes to decision making, but in my situation, I sunk that cost.
Yeah, that cost is in
and
there.
I'm already in, and I'm enjoying myself now. So it's not like I.
It would be one thing to be like,
I'm not
pay up front and then maybe you'll get there eventually if you put in the time eventually. But like the fact that you have to make sure it's like, I'm also paying monthly. I skipped a month because I was like, I know I'm not gonna get to anything this month in Final Fantasy 14. When I have a little bit more time, I'll get back into it. But yeah, it takes so long to get through that first bit that I'm glad they're planning on shortening it. And
once that happens, I think I'll be in a place where I could better recommend it.
Right.
Like, I'll have to hear and see if people, because that's supposed to come this year at some point.
This year? That's earlier than
that's
I
what I believe.
I might just stop paying that monthly subscription then.
You should stop paying the monthly subscription. What I'm curious actually about is for people like you who are in the middle of it.
Right.
What does that do? Because I don't know if it'll be a situation where you can just like keep rolling through, or is it just like boot you back to the beginning of a chapter? Like, what's the I don't know
how they do that transition. Mm-hmm. It's important. Destiny didn't do it right.
Yeah, what's up? Why? Wait,
huh?
What?
I just meant from like their old system to Shadowkeep, and like how hard it is to see old content. Remember all that business?
Right. Yeah,
like,
I do. Yes, of course. Of course.
Even if you were in the middle of a campaign, it's like, well, too bad you had to start that campaign over.
Sick.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anyone else playing anything? Want to shout out anything that's going on?
I had a short shout out for an indie game called Road Wardens.
Road Wardens.
Okay. It's a visual novel that
one word, Road Wardens.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's got an interesting thing that I don't play a lot of games in this genre, so this probably has happened before, but I just found it interesting. But it's set in a fantasy setting, and you are a road warden. Basically, travel is like super dangerous in this fantasy space, and there are specific people that take the job of like delivering things, of moving people from place to place and all that. But it's a visual novel, and you're talking to people, and the interesting thing is that when you first meet someone new for the first time, you have a bunch of options for your approach.
Okay.
Like you have two you have your dialogue options, which are different, but then you have a secondary thing where you attach a tone to that. So you're either like intimidating, and like the text options don't change, but it's like this is all about what tone you're saying whatever text option you choose. And so it's like you can be intimidating, you can be friendly, you can be vulnerable, and it radically changes. Like I went back and did like the first part a couple times, and it completely changes how the people react to you. Like when I was vulnerable, they like ended up being like, do you need help with something? Like, are you okay? And versus when I was intimidating, it became very tense very quickly. They were like, it said like, oh, they always kept their hand on the hilt of their sword. Like you could tell that they were like, they still invited me in, but like tensions were hot. And like, it was really interesting because they set it up so that they can make these differences like really drastic. And I've only played like an hour or so, but each time I've met someone new, I've had the like impulse of like doing a quick save, going through and seeing like all the options, because they're different enough that it's not just like I want to see which one I want to go forward with, but it's like I literally want to see all these different paths, because they're interesting. They're all interesting in different ways narratively, Right. So that's just a quick shout out. I'll probably check back in when I played some more of that, but I just thought that mechanic was really neat.
That does sound really neat. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Gita, any last things before we wrap up today? Anything else you want to shout out? Anything else on the site go up this week that you want people to go read?
Oh yeah, I wrote that No Man's Sky thing.
You wrote that No Man's. Tell me what's up with No Man's Sky. I know we said like moments ago we'll talk about No Man's Sky later, but it's later.
We have to have a real deep dive into it. But I was just checking back in on the Galactic Hub people, and I found this guy.
The Galactic Hub is like a group of players who who even before multiplayer was real, were like, we're going to play with each other by being near each other in this game.
Yeah. So they figured out how to make the game into something they could play communally.
Right.
And then as the game has become more and more interested in being a communal experience, they have just grown into a really huge, really interesting in-game civilization. And there was another player who had an idea for getting involved with this in some capacity. It essentially made like a space railroad. It's really like it's the first time someone has said not in my backyard, and I was like, maybe you got a point though.
Damn, wait, what's
So
give me the quick pitch so people can go read it.
the quick pitch is, the person who made this railroad said that they wanted to do it to drive growth into the Galactic Hub. The leader of the Galactic Hub said, I just feel like what you were trying to do is poach players away from my community.
Oh,
We're not
wow.
necessarily interested in gross growth. We want to get down to the thing that we've been doing for a long time, which has been trying to catalog every single thing in this tiny corner of space. Every plant, animal, planet, star, everything. And, 710 told me, like, the person who's the leader of the Galactic Hub, he said, like, gross growth, like, if that slows down while we refocus into an intentional community about scientific discovery, that's fine with me. I don't care if we lose gross growth.
Okay.
So this is, like, really, I mean, for me, it feels a little bit more like someone trying to stop white flight before it starts,
Right.
What's interesting here is, like, this is an instance in which racism is not a factor in sort of a NIMBYist argument.
Right.
It is just about culture, where culture doesn't mean whiteness.
Right.
This is about someone who, Chris May did not play the game, the person who created the Warpway, the little railroad. He did not play the game at launch. And the person who's the leader of the Galactic Hub has been playing the game since launch for the past 3 years. This is, I think, more similar to a conversation about bandwagoners. Yeah, my article doesn't quite go there.
That, like, because the game became this multiplayer thing, it opened up the door to a bunch of people who did not have... It's like the AOL thing, right? It's like AOL opened the door to the internet, and there was already a culture of the internet.
Yeah.
People are already on the internet before AOL opened the floodgates.
Yeah.
And then, like, everyone who showed up there didn't have those conventions, those social conventions already. They didn't understand, like, what the kind of, like, cultural mores were.
Yeah.
And so the people who already, the old heads were like, yo, fuck that. This is also SoundCloud rap. This is also everything. This happens everywhere.
The Eternal September.
The Eternal September.
That's what this
exactly.
is. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that I think that the Galactic Hub has a right to say, we want our community to be one thing. And if you don't like it, it's fine with us if you start your own community, but you're not going to hijack the hub in order to do that. I think, May, his creation, I think he's really good at onboarding people to the idea of civilized space. I think that he's created a very easy to understand map of how to get to from the center of the galaxy to the Galactic Hub. I don't have really an issue with what he's doing, but I understand where the hub is coming from when they're like, hang on a second.
Right.
That's so our goals are not aligned here.
That's so fucking
I know.
fascinating. All right, well, go read that article.
Please do.
I want to note, I have no fucking idea where I got this idea that there was a myth about Japan being created by a sword.
Really?
I like have it so clear in my head, and it must have been like I don't know. Is that how it's presented in Okami? Is that how it's presented?
In an anime,
probably.
when you were like 10
when I was
years
like
old.
10, I was like, "Bro, that's a real thing."
Yep.
There's like a little bit. There's like a spear that drips some shit, and the drip. There's like a little bit there, but I was like, "Wait a second, let me check myself. Is this Inuyasha? Am I remembering some shit that was said in Inuyasha?" And probably, I don't know that it's Inuyasha. Maybe it was another thing.
Yeah,
maybe it was
something they played one episode of on Toonami.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, that's real.
Yeah, this is something that Japanese people totally believe.
No.
It's the KFC thing. It's the KFC,
Wait, what's the KFC
Christmas
thing?
Eve bucket, except for us.
Wait, what's the KFC Christmas Eve?
in
you're saying
Japan.
that. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Okay.
you want to know one really fast way to explain to Americans why marketing's evil is tell them about this KFC thing, where KFC, the corporation just
went to
convinced
Japan.
an entire
I was like, well, it's a
country.
Christmas thing, of course.
Westerners on Christmas get a bucket of KFC. Not true.
Not true.
Not true at all.
No.
But
they're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. We should do that. That sounds fun. Haha.
And now
Goofy.
it's like a Japanese tradition, and I've heard from...
Is it actually, though, or are we getting it? Are
No.
we being incepted?
I've had a couple of friends
Okay.
who have lived in Japan who have
Okay.
said, like, yes, like, they do truly believe this. And when you talk to, Japanese Native people that tell them that this is not something that Americans do, they are very confused because they've been taught their entire life that this is the thing is
real,
true.
And it's not.
It's not. Wow. And it's like much less offensive than all of the things that we think are true about Japan.
100%. It's 100%. I like fucking... I was in a cab today that someone was being racist about Asian folk, and I just can't.
It hurts. I don't like it.
No.
Me either. All right. On that note, on the note of things that we don't like, we'll be back next week. Monday, we'll have this Gita Sims interview in the feed. And then we'll see. Send in your questions, by the way, for an Outer Wilds spoiler cast, because once Patrick's feeling better, we're going to talk about that.
Hell yeah.
For sure. Send those into gaming@vice.com. As always, that's where you can send all your letters.
Subject,
Outer Wilds.
Just Outer Wilds. Okay.
Subject, Outer Wilds.
I'll tweet that out.
Thank you. As always, you can find that tweet, twitter.com/waypoint.
Yeah.
Find everything that happens, waypoint.vice.com. Motherboard.vice.com also, obviously, because Gita, some of your stuff just runs there, obviously. So please go there also. Shout out to our friends at Motherboard.
Yeah.
Please. Who've done incredible work, I think, over the last couple of weeks.
The scoops they've gotten about this election app have been depressing, but also amazing.
I'm fucking shook about the way Nevada's going to go, but whatever.
We got New Hampshire.
I know we did.
We're going to ride that all the way to the Democratic
Absolutely.
National Convention. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. You got to believe.
That's right.
You got to do what?
You got to believe.
Shout outs to fucking Parappa the Rapper.
Shout outs to Parappa the Rapper,
You know what I mean? Shout outs to Parappa the Rapper.
Shout outs to De La Soul and Parappa the Rapper.
For real, absolutely. Fucking put them on. All right. That's going to do it for us this week. I'm excited. I hope if you have Monday off, I hope you take a long weekend. I hope you relax, get that energy up. It's going to be a long year. Take every vacation you can get, every extra little bit of day you can get, even if it's for a whack-ass president that died 300 years ago and owned some slaves. Take that break. Take that break. Take a breath. Take that break.
That president would hate.
I can't believe we willed the fucking Hamilton cast recording into existence. We did a Waypoints episode recently about Hamilton. Well,
I
about
listened
Hamilton,
to it because it was. I wanted to hear what y'all thought about
of
it
course.
because I
appreciate it.
Honestly, you said you couldn't get it into the soundtrack. I had a Hamilton moment.
I'm fine with that. I'm not judging people who had a moment or who still like it. I just needed to voice my...
The first half of that show where it's about revolutionary politics is great. The second half of that show where it's about the dramas of Alexander Hamilton, just not
doing it for you
at all.
Right, sure.
And the rapping is corny, but I will cry when I see In the Heights. So
right, and that's fine. I'm not. Listen, I'm not. The point is, I can't believe we used our power for evil. Not evil.
I knew that recording was there.
Yeah, people are going to want it. People are going to want it. People are going to want it. We'll see how the selection goes, aren't we?
Oh my god!
Just wait. People are going to be.
If you're going to need me, I'm going to lay down in traffic real quick.
All right. Have fun. Good luck.
No, listen.
Look,
you know what I'm going to do? I told Kato.
My mother-in-law. Hold on. Yeah, you pull that up.
Yeah.
What?
And you'll explain this later. But my mother-in-law just saw Hamilton because it came to Florida.
Okay.
And so I'm in a
Shout
group chat that everyone in there is like, oh my god, how can we see it? It seems cheap in Florida. Maybe we'll come down to Florida. This is like my sister-in-law who lives in Colorado and her husband, and everyone's still excited. And so I mentioned that movie's coming out in a year and a half. They're like, oh my god, what? We're absolutely gonna see it. So there's an audience for that still.
Yeah,
it's gonna be.
I should be 100% clear. Us not liking something is almost like the inverse of there an audience for it.
Oh yeah, that's real talk right
real
now.
Shit.
That's not.
Actually.
I hope that if I'm down on something, if we collectively are down on something, with very specific exceptions where we are very clear, it should not feel like a or I hope it doesn't come across as and you're bad if you like it.
Right.
I think we all like very complicated things that are I like Gundam a whole bunch. Gundam is a fucking mess. Gundam is deeply misogynistic at places, not just at places, throughout in the systemic way, but then also particular ways throughout that are hey, we're gonna get real big on misogyny for this one episode. This will be explicitly misogynistic.
Why is that?
There's always one.
There's always that moment in the Iron Blooded Orphans, which I was really liking, when then they meet the harem guy.
Yeah, listen, and let me tell you.
They meet the harem guy, and it gets really
that
weird.
Dude sucks a lot. Well.
He treats his wives with respect. It's still weird,
There's
though.
a version of that show that's so good.
Yeah.
I talked about this at the end of year episode.
So he's a wives guy.
He is a wives guy. He is, but here's the thing.
guy.
Here's the thing is,
Stop
he's-
emailing my wives.
He is straight up a wives guy, and that is the thing that's so wild about it. Is that motherfucker loves his wives so much, and they rule. All of his
He would
wives
do an
rule.
individual Instagram
Damn.
post
But
for
it
how
is
much he
still
loves each of his
each
thick wives.
100%.
Yeah.
He has different accounts. He's a different account for each wife.
Post them all simultaneously.
Right,
So
and
it's
they
all
love
equal.
him. And that's an anime. Welcome to anime. It's bad.
Only happens so that the love triangle can be resolved.
Well, that is the thing.
So
There
funny.
is a love triangle.
Because it's like you could have just not
mm.
had a fucking love triangle. They're boring. Everyone knows they're boring.
Huh?
Yeah. Anyway.
The point is,
that show
we
could've
all
been
love
great.
shit.
Also, everyone's got two hands.
Everyone's got two hands. Well, and some of them have like extra hands. They hands all the way around.
Yeah. Just a
we
weird-
like shit that is not good sometimes.
I love
like
so
I said
much
before.
shit that's
There's
not good. I love
100%.
Fallout Boy, okay?
Congrats.
I've seen them twice.
Shout outs.
Nice.
Shout outs to Pete
To
Wentz.
Pete Wentz Black Hat only.
That's right. Shout out to Pete Wentz's secret black hat that no one knows about. I saw those pictures, Pete. Nappy head. I saw those. I know what
Yo,
you
there's
I
an
know.
early
God
documentary
damn.
about
Yeah,
them
people
where
don't
they
know
talk
about
about
Pete.
having to kick out a member of the band because they were weird about his Jamaican mom.
Wait, really?
What? Yeah.
Yo, fuck that member of that band.
Yeah.
Serious? Well, I'm glad his like woke
Pete Wentz,
Illinois
biracial
friends.
king.
Yeah. Is he
Also, football.
biracial king? Well, I
Well,
mean,
well,
how did
okay.
he get his hair? His like
Yeah, okay.
frizzy ass
I know.
black hair. How did he flat iron that
I
so
don't know.
well?
I have no idea what his situation is right now. Also, I feel like do you lose points?
Name his child Mowgli.
Wait, excuse me?
Yes. He loves the Jungle Book, baby. Anyway, you were talking about how this election is going to go. And I want to just say, my good friend, Big Nate at Coach Sightman, put together this little video from the New Hampshire rally for Bernie Sanders that I think everybody just needs to hear at least once per day. So I'm going to just play it really, really quick.
We could just add this into the thing. We don't have
Yeah.
to hold the phone.
Yeah,
No,
actually, we have a way to do this.
Okay.
It's also the sicko mode beat feels so good.
Sicko mode beat's good.
I really just got to hear it right now. Forward.
This fucking slaps.
Yeah.
This is why I needed to play it like this, Austin.
Thank
I needed you to hear this.
I'm powering up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I said,
Yeah.
I responded to that with, "It's the best fucking wrestling promo anyone has
That's
ever cut."
extremely good.
Yo,
That's
it
extremely
keeps
good.
going.
Ever.
It's so good. She's never been more powerful than in that clip. And just like shout out, big ups to Big Nate, like
Yeah.
adding the sicko mode beat
Please.
takes it to another level.
Yeah. Tried to show him.
Listen, don't
know?
think about what could go wrong. We're moving forward. We're moving forward to Nevada.
Damn.
We're moving
Yeah.
forward, South Carolina. We're
Damn.
moving forward to Super
Damn.
Tuesday. We are going to take this country back from the brink.
We don't have. There's no. We can't send you anywhere right now because like the next primary isn't for a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Go
you'll-
get trained for texting for
That's
Bernie.
actually the thing.
Yeah.
to do,
you're
right?
right.
It's like if you're trying to get active, there are
Go
ways
get
to get
trained
active
for
that are not
texting
about
for
the way to
Bernie.
vote,
Go
so.
get trained on the dialer app they used. Download the Burn app. Like, I know it's so uncouth to be a journalist and like
Damn.
be endorsing someone
I
this
can't
hard.
believe.
But they aren't gonna
You need
fire
to call
me.
him to a room. See,
Yeah.
I'm a contractor. I can do whatever the fuck I want now. You know,
Emmanuel and Jason
Emmanuel
will
and Jason
not fire me.
you're done. That's
They'll
it.
send me a smiley face with a bracket for a mouth at
Wait,
the
is that
DMs.
what? Oh, you what they do that?
They do that.
What is that?
It's being
old
slightly
internet.
older than us.
Is that? Are they though? I don't
They're
think
like
that's true.
1 or
Jason
2
is younger
years.
than me. Jason's definitely.
Jason's younger than
Really?
Has to
Jason's
be.
my 1 year older than
No.
me, which is so
old
different.
is Jason?
Steven Totila, love him. You
Jason
know,
has to be younger than
big
me.
ups to Steven. Just like having a boss that was a decade older than me with
Jason
children
feels
was very different.
I
from
would
when
say that
African
Jason
American-
is like 6 years older than me.
He's 31.
Are you fucking kidding me?
See, this is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
He's our age.
He's a baby. He's a smart. He's a. We stand a baby king.
Yeah, yeah.
You stand a baby king.
Just like what?
But he's a baby.
baby was king.
Damn.
This is what I'm saying. I was like, I knew it in my heart. This is the thing is I got here, I was older than EICs, and I was like, why? What's happening here?
It's
Also-
it's so
really- it's
chill
just-
having a
it's-
boss that's my age. Like big ups to Stephen Totillo. Learned a lot from him.
Of course, get that
worked with him
wisdom.
in a year.
But now
I
you got
really-
the energy of youth.
Yeah, I don't have to explain some things.
You don't have to say
On the last week of me being at Kotaku, Stephen asked me what tsundere means, and I
It's too late. It's too late to.
Gita, what does tsundere mean?
I mean,
I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
Jason would probably have the same question.
That's true.
To be fair.
That's true.
He would understand my answer easier, though.
Okay.
I wouldn't have to start with, okay, so there's a lot of animation that comes out of Japan.
Right.
Steven knows what anime is. Steven knows what anime
Damn, I
is.
can't believe
Oh,
you. I can't
God.
believe you're gonna put
God
Steven on blast
damn.
over anime. God.
Steven, I miss you. Hit me up.
Hi, Steven. All right, that's it.
Is
On
he,
that note-
is he here? Is he listening?
He might be. I don't know. I don't know
right.
what Steven does.
What's
Let
up?
Steven live.
I know
good.
you definitely
That
reads all my
definitely
tweets still, so
There you go. You good tweets.
I do have really
Where
good
can people
tweets.
go to find those tweets?
You can find me at XOXO Gossip Gita. I'm also on Instagram under the same name where I post a lot of pictures of my cat.
Your new cat, Ella.
Ella.
Very
she
cute cat.
is an angel.
Yes. Also, I feel like do I want to drag randos? No, I'm not going to drag randos. I'm just going to say, Gita, I appreciate every cat pic you put out, and I'm not going to clamor for more than you're putting out per day.
Thank you.
That's all. I'm respecting.
When I'm hugging my cat, she doesn't like it when I put the phone in her
Your
face.
cat doesn't have to be content.
No,
But
she
when
doesn't.
it is, I feel blessed.
You know, I want to bring her around when
Right.
people need her.
Right, exactly.
But she's
But it's not a
camera shy.
request situation.
Yeah, this
Right.
is. Please don't ask me for cat pics, please.
That's all I'm
Please
saying.
don't do it.
Kata, where can people find you on Twitter? Where can people put cat pics in front of you on Twitter is what I was going to say.
At AA_Kato
Send-
underscore
send
appears.
Kato
Or
some
just like
cats.
my email's on there. My
Emails on there?
my Vice email. Send cat
Oh,
pics
send
to my
cat
Vice,
pics to your-
Vice email, please.
I was
There you go.
describing my morning routine with Ella to Kato, and I think he like almost died. Like
should
a
get a
minute
cat.
ago.
So cute. I had a yes. I need a new cat.
Get a new cat.
I know somebody. Actually. Anyway, we'll talk
See,
after.
Don't-
get you.
I
get
can't
yourself a
though.
cat.
I should.
See? See?
We'll help you.
They're so cute.
Cats are good.
Where can we find you, Austin Walker?
Austin_Walker. You can send me cats also. I
Yeah.
like cats a lot.
Yes.
Cats are really great. Send us all pictures of cats
Yes.
if you'd like
Absolutely.
to.
If you'd like to. If it's in your day, if you have like the ability to, I'd love to see your cats.
I'm gonna tell you that they're all beautiful.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
I love cats. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us this week. We'll be back next week with more. I hope everyone has a good long weekend. If you get to have a long weekend, if you don't, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Fucking the struggle is real.
Contractor life.
Contractor life, freelance life. That's gonna do it for us. Fuck capitalism.
Fuck capitalism, baby.
Go home.
I want to be in my bed with my cat. That's all I'm thinking about. She was so upset about me leaving.
Just really vocal about your absence.
She is. And when I get home, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be meow, 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 meow.
That's
Where
good.
she woke me this morning when I woke up to pet her.
Mhm.
She went absolutely fucking crazy about it. She like
Oh my
needed
fucking
me.
God.
Yeah. I learned that she loves it when you pet her like right between her eyes. And now I
Aw.
do it. She closes her eyes and she'll like lean up into it. It's so I know it just destroys me. So
So
now she's
cute.
fucking addicted to it and she won't let me leave unless I do it for like 10 minutes.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Aw, poor baby.
I know. She's terrified of my apartment because it's still new. But I think in a month she'll be like more calm. She started marking the other parts of the apartment. So
Oh,
I
no.
know that she's okay.
Yeah,
She
but she's
figured
okay.
out the living room,
Yeah.
you know. She sees it. I'm gonna get that huge cat tree tomorrow for her.
Nice.
I'm talking about spoiling my
Cats
cat.
are good. Yeah,
I
please
just-
spoil your cat.
Do you want more videos of Ella?
Always.
Okay, great. I'll send you. Let me text you this great one actually of her purring so loud. Like,
Okay.
just-
that's the perfect video for me.
She's asleep and purring. And
Aw.
it's really
Cutie.
just so beautiful. The little tiny cutie that just came out of your mouth. It was so sweet.
I love cats. Like I deeply, deeply, truly.
Listen, if you are ever in Brooklyn for any reason, please just come and pet my cat.
I'm never in Brooklyn anymore except to work.
We need this. It just like you think about how much money you pay your landlord and all the shit he doesn't do for you.
It's true.
There's a cabinet door that's still
busted.
broken.
I've got a hole in my ceiling where
Me too.
water's coming down every once in a while.
You
Same.
pay your landlord at
They've
least
fixed it
1/3.
3 times in the last year, and it doesn't fixed.
Yeah.
He put some
Is
more
that
paper towels
plaster
up
over?
in there.
Yeah, it's plastered over. Right? Yeah. Well, it was just open for a minute
Uh-huh.
because if we plaster, it's just going to get ruined again. So
Oh, mine didn't
That's
even
really
go
cool
there.
of
My
them.
mind just plastered it and was like, oh no, it didn't work because the plaster never dried because the
'Cause
water
there's
was
water
coming
leaking.
down. I was like,
fix
yeah, no
the leak.
shit.
You got to fix the leak.
They don't know where the leak is.
Find the leak.
Yeah. No,
can't-
it's like a big one though. Like
Fix it.
I went upstairs.
You're not a plumber.
No. I'm just saying like they've got some fucking work cut out for them because it's in
Good.
between the building.
Fix
like,
it.
Yeah. It's like you all fucked
If
up
you
with this
had
piping.
fixed
Y'all
this-
fucked up
Right.
with this piping.
I will say ours was wild, which is apparently the people above us like baths a lot,
Uh-huh.
and the leak was coming from the bathtub overflow, the seal on the so that you know how like the top
Yeah.
of the bathtub there's like the overflow
yeah.
thing so that it doesn't overflow, and they just be taking baths every night, and
Every night.
it happens nightly.
Oh my god.
I'm like, are they cooking something? What's going on up there for real? Because no one takes a bath every night to the degree that the leak was coming. It was like every night at 11 p.m., just water just dripping into our bathroom from above. So I don't know. Ruin the anyway. It took forever. I think it's finally actually fixed now. It hasn't happened in a minute. Anyway, fuck landlords.
Landlords. Mao was right about one thing.
Damn, get them.
Yeah.
I'm
You really are cheering me on when it comes to my burns this episode.
I'm doing my best.
Thank you.
We're-
Thank you so much. And I've been doing a lot of games related shit.
Yeah, so
for
we can dig in.
once.
We can dig
so
in.
like that's
Just let Rob know that we're gonna go live, Kata. Or that we're
Yeah.
gonna go.
Yeah. I will. Let me get these all up.
I mean, worst comes to worst, we can always take a break and you can come
Yeah,
back with a
totally.
back half. Man, what a week! Can you believe Bernie won New Hampshire?
I can.
Right? Because it happened.
It happened.
I saw it with my own eyes.
It's yeah.
And Iowa, but you know.
Love it.
What's next?
I want to say Nevada is next on the 22nd. It's not till the end of next week, right?
Okay.
And then South Carolina after that. I'm pretty sure that's true. I'll double check.
Yeah, Nevada next.
Yeah, Nevada 22nd, South Carolina 29th, then Super Tuesday.
I think we can
That's
like
Super
breathe
Tuesday.
a little bit though.
I think it's just like we actually have. I mean, now we don't, but you know,
We have 2 victories.
yeah, totally, a little,
You know,
yeah.
the momentum's there. Traditionally, the people,
Yes.
you know, if you win the first 2,
My
you
hope
will be the nominee.
My hope is that I'm curious about how Nevada shakes out because of the culinary shit, but mostly I think that we're going to be all right. South Carolina, I'm super curious about because Bloomberg spent a ton of money there, and I think it's just going to like again split the weird centrist moderate vote.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that. I think that represents the thing that like no one ever talks about, or that people that the media doesn't talk about that often. Is this is what we were just talking about with the way people can be real hypocritical and be like say a bunch of shitty stuff, and then also be like, and also I can't wait for Bernie Sanders to be president and make change immigration laws to be better. Like, well, okay, like a second ago, bro, you were saying some shit that I think was pretty racist, but while that okay, you don't see it that way. People are hypocritical, and a lot of people who. You see that big roll up that I forget who did it yesterday. The thing that was like, well, Bernie only got 20-something%. Then these 3 moderates got blah, blah, blah. But people don't vote their ideology in the way that that people in this room do.
Yeah.
And it's not a drag on those folks, but it's like people are often voting with their gut. They're voting with their instinct. They're voting with like who they connect with. And this is one of the reasons where like Bernie Sanders ends up being a number 2 for a lot of people. Like, well, I really like him, but I think we need a Biden. And when Biden gets knocked out, Some of those people, a lot of those people are probably going to go for Buttigieg or for Bloomberg if Bloomberg is still in at that point, or for Klobuchar. But some of them are going to go for Bernie because some of them have Bernie as their number 2 because they're not making their choices based just on like policy decisions. They're making their choices based on like who I can trust.
Yeah.
Like that is
when
not.
You have like a singular figure as in a leadership position, the charisma part matters. It's why I still like there's a part of me that will still always really like and appreciate Barack Obama.
Right, sure.
Because he was like the ideal version of a first family. And the fact that he was like a black man with this very wholesome family, with, a beautiful, accomplished wife in her own right, 2 beautiful, adorable daughters that were going on to like prestigious academic career.
And a very nice
and
dog.
A freaking dog.
A very good dog.
A really cute dog.
Right.
Like that's the best version of that we will ever get.
Doesn't quite like even out the drone warfare and the deportations.
Not at all.
But
like there's something that like if I go in a bar and it's a black-owned bar.
Yeah.
This has happened to me in Chicago.
Yeah.
And actually there's a bar in Bed-Stuy that's I really like because it has a back patio that's huge and also just full of random like fair and carnival stuff. It feels like Silent Hill. The lighting is only exclusively red in it. It's great.
Perfect.
Tip Top. That's the name of that bar.
Shout outs.
They still have like all this Barack Obama stuff up behind the bar, and it's a black-owned bar. And you know what? I get it.
I get it. Yeah,
I get it. And when I see it, I'm like, I like being here. I like being in this space.
Yes, there's like a welcomeness for you there.
Yeah. The politics of that aesthetics. It's that some people, I think, a lot of neolibs and liberals really only understand politics through that aesthetic sense.
Yeah, totally, 100%. Like aesthetics have always been political, but like I think that especially for those of us who like lean towards punditry sometimes, it's easy to imagine that the realm of voters is a realm of rational actors who are making interested choices. Like that is not how votes work. Like, and it's one of the reasons why making emotional appeals and talking about vision instead of just talking about policy is effective campaign work, is effective campaigning.
I mean, every candidate in the wake of Trump needs to come with a complete vision, a succinct vision of America.
And I think that's actually important rhetorical ideological work. I think that like I was just talking to my parents about this stuff and very, very broadly, like both of them are Democrats. My mom is like completely a Bernie stan at this point. Not even at this point. She was a Bernie stan last time. She was like all the way in Bernie. My dad is like, let's say American center left, black dude. Absolutely is like down to vote blue no matter who, but is kind of a realist in the way that I think America beats realism. Exactly. So he's like, well, Bloomberg's going to win because Bloomberg has all that money, and Bloomberg could probably beat Trump because he has all that money and could outspend him, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, I don't believe that because I don't think Bloomberg has a vision that's going to connect to people. But I get I know how you end up there, which
and
is
Trump
like
will just knock him up and down the street about stop and frisk.
100%, and people will like buy into it. It's
because Trump will not be
loved
wrong,
stop and frisk. Like Trump loved Bloomberg as a mayor in the city because he was a shitty racist Republican mayor.
He wants to win.
Of course.
It's like it's the thing for me. So my dad is low-key lefter than me. He self-identifies as a communist. Like
shout outs to your black communist dad.
My dad rules, honestly. I feel like I take a lot of my political like guides from him, especially after learning that like Buttigieg and Cory Booker's parents are both like radical academics. So I was just like, maybe I should listen more to my dad about his really good politics and not end up a Buttigieg.
Don't end up a Buttigieg. Shout outs to Joseph Buttigieg, who is preeminent
so cool.
scholar of the left.
See that Cornel West thing?
I did see that Cornel West thing where Cornel West was like, listen, brother Buttigieg, the senior, Joseph Buttigieg's family. And that means that Pete is family.
See, this is also why I think he's a CIA plant.
Yeah.
Right?
That would be the thing about it that sucks the most. I don't know. It's so tough because like Gramsci, who his father studied and was like a scholar of, is the exactly. You know how it's like there's a tweet for that, like there's always a Donald Trump tweet for whatever, and everything like lines up so neatly. Gramsci is like the perfect Marxist scholar for understanding why you shouldn't trust Pete Buttigieg and the ways in which the Pete Buttigiegs of the world are produced by power, basically. Like very specifically is about the ways in which the apparatuses of capitalist power produce like what they need to succeed, to like stay in power and build fascism, right? And like it's so funny to me that happens, and it's like it's just a little too clean. It's just a little. It's so fucked up.
I know.
The thing that I was trying to get to really quick is the thing I was trying to explain to my dad about this was that for me, it goes back to this thing about changing rhetorical, like, you know, obviously I think we talk about like the Overton window is like a very common touchstone or common like summary of this, but for 60, 70, 80 years, for 80 years, the left in America has been slowly destroyed, right? McCarthyism after even before World War II, there's an anti-left movement in this country. Pushes back against rising labor unions, pushes back against, you know, socialists who are trying to organize, anarchists who are trying to organize. Going into World War II, and then after World War II, as kind of the Cold War starts to brew, McCarthyism like actively pursues a radical campaign of silencing and shutting up all leftists and persecuting, you know, anyone with any sort of communist leaning. Then in the 60s, when the parties shift, you see a complete realignment of what it means to be, you know, a leftist in this country in a way that like kind of presages the later 80s turn and then the 90s turn. But like you end up needing to like grab whoever you can, because if the parties have shifted and you're aligning on like civil rights, that means suddenly you're not necessarily aligning with people who also share the same like federal policy ideas that you have. Because civil rights are so important to you, you're going to suddenly be voting with a different bloc. The 80s, Reagan and Thatcher in the UK, but globally, this new model of neoconservatism like completely decimates the left, completely depowers labor, completely starts to undercut social programs, which has a larger knock-on effect for Black and brown folks than anybody else, and immigrant communities, obviously, and just the poor in general. And in the 90s, the supposed left says like, yes, what we could do is like, we'll just lean into Black and brown folks and also think the market works. And that's, you know, more women prison guards and also more women for-profit prison guards. Like that ends up being the de facto push.
There's this book that I really am interested in reading very soon about the commodification of feminism, specifically in the 90s, called 90s
Totally.
Bitch.
Yes.
And I mean, the book, the blurb, which made me interested in it, makes the case that the 90s commodification of feminism into the girl power movement is the case study of how the corporate America takes important issues of social justice and turns them into brands.
Totally.
And we need to look to the 90s to figure out how to keep this from happening now.
This is like thinking about like the ways in which, you remember how cool Sprite was? Sprite was so cool.
Yes, for a minute, because they had those weird ads.
Because they had those weird ads with Black people in them. They were like, yo, hip hop culture. We could have hip hop culture is us. And eventually they made Drake's face explode as like the final form of that ad.
Or even that Orlando Jones ad makes 7 Up yours.
Yeah, right. Totally. That whole era of how do we bring in Black culture, and that is what Black success starts to look like. And again, it's just like, it's always modeled in this form of like, you will find success in the marketplace. You'll find yourself being marketable. And the whole thing for me with Bernie Sanders, one of the big things, and we didn't talk about this in our primary like thing, and I wish I'd paused and like talked about this one thing, is the promise of that campaign is the doing the work of shifting that rhetorical window back, slowly rebuilding the left in America. I don't think that we're going to get 4 or 8 years of magical presidency in which we get everything we want. I think there's like a real bad assumption made by a lot of folks who don't like Sanders supporters that thinks that like we think that he'll get in and like snap his fingers.
What I keep getting in my mentions is he's not your magical grandpa.
And it's like, no shit.
Like, I understand that these things take time. I understand that we are starting from a position that we're going to have to bargain down from.
Of course.
I know we're not going to get everything. I just need like a far left option to be a reasonable option.
To be in that conversation. But for me, it's not just being in that conversation. It's starting the groundwork for undoing the last 80 years of
Yeah.
anti-left like propaganda, anti-left rhetoric, anti-left policy making, and putting the structures in place to then kind of for future left-leaning and leftist candidates to sprout. And to actually restore electoral politics as a place where the left could actually do anything. Because right now the left can't really make wins in electoral politics.
No.
And to make that happen, you need to start somewhere and you need to start building that groundwork. And that's a generational thing. It's like, I want to vote for Bernie Sanders not because he's going to change things in 8 years, but because he is the spearhead of a movement that should last 80 years.
I mean, I think everyone really needs to sit down and think about what the Democratic Party is going to look like if we lose this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
totally.
We're going to look like fucking idiots. We're going to look like the Whigs. Like, I don't know that we will ever be able to have the Democrats specifically gain any ground in electoral politics if we lose another, like, should have been an easy victory, slam dunk. He's a reality TV star idiot who's done nothing but unpopular things. Everyone except his core base fucking hates him. It's the reason you can't, and like most embarrassingly,
I don't think a Bloomberg wins.
No.
I don't think, like, I genuinely think you need to motivate people emotionally to get them out to the polls.
You do, yeah. Anyway, that's a lot of preamble
about video games.
I love video games.
Me too. We don't need to do a time that is.
No.
Nice. We just do a podcast. There you go. All right.
Oh man.